I appreciate you as a fan. I don't ever mean to seem redundant when I am speaking to fans, but I always think it's proper and respectful to show that gratitude back. I'm glad you're enjoying the new and improved, updated presentation. The stuff you're seeing on TV right now has been stuff I wanted to do for a very long time. On my side, as a performer, as a pro wrestler, sports entertainer, I have to pick and choose when would be the most appropriate time to show you guys new things. And I'm really glad that it's being received so well. Don Tony and Kevin Castle, here's a funny story for you. Not many people know this, although it's probably not going to be shocking to you. I was a fan of that show before I even had anything to do with this industry or this business. I used to listen to their show all the time, and I have to tell you, it was, I've had a lot of surreal experiences, but probably one of the biggest ones was one day putting on the show and hearing them talk about me. Because I mean, I had been listening to them for like a very, very, very long time prior to being a form of discussion. So that was pretty weird, in a good way, obviously. Love those guys. I haven't met them in person, but I've chatted with them before, and my favorite thing about those two guys is they're very real. They'll just tell it to you like it is, and I think people like that are important in the world, because I think sometimes we, from a social standpoint, we get too overly concerned with wanting everybody to like us, and I think you can lose yourself doing that. You'll drive yourself crazy trying to appease everybody in the room. Maybe the people you want to like you, you might not even like them. And those two guys are not worried about that. And I like people like that. Great show. Like those guys. I look forward to meeting them. Look forward to meeting you too. I would love to perform in Abu Dhabi. I think that would be awesome. Been a big jiu-jitsu fan and a practitioner. With, judo, catch wrestling, sambo, all kinds of stuff. I try to follow the competitions online in Abu Dhabi every year. One way or another, I will find my way down there, and hope to meet you one day. And again, thank you very much for your support, my friend.
It's now time for The Sit Down with Don Tony.
The Sit Down, where Don Tony talks one-on-one with his followers.
What are you looking at?
About the world of pro wrestling, pop culture, and so much more.
The Sit Down with Don Tony.
And now, your host, Don Tony.
The dog father is here. Few minutes late. I think we all know why. We can leave the head off for a few minutes. Totally disappointed, man. Why do I have my headphones on still? I know why. I just finished watching Kross's live stream. Premiere of it's almost like Wrestling with Shadows. Filming Bret Hart as he's going along. Not as much of a controversial finish for Kross. Figures. The gremlins are trying to fuck with us. I know you can hear me now. You know what happened, guys? For real? I just finished watching Kross's live stream on YouTube. About 6 o'clock, 6:30, I get a DM from Kross. And he sent me the link, sent a lot of people the link, and he says, I hope you can stop by. And, yeah, I watched it. I watched the entire thing. We're starting the show, obviously, a few minutes late for the stream. And Kross and Scarlett's contracts have expired with WWE. Now, listen, a couple of things I am telling you straight up. I ran and tried to find that video that Kross sent via Cameo to one of our loyal family members out there, our extended family, many, many years ago. Kross has been a huge supporter of us way before he ever got into wrestling, and we've been a huge supporter back. And I know Kev, he's standing right next to the book right now. Kev is looking down and smiling right now, and he is a little guardian angel. And look, that's life. That's life. You know, I'm literally doing this show 2 minutes after Kross's stream ended, and we're going to obviously open up talking about this. I think it's the right thing to do. But there's definitely a couple of things that come to my mind right away, and what I will do is, actually over here, on the replay, there'll be a link to Kross's stream. I definitely suggest you all watch it. It kind of reminded me of Bret Hart's Wrestling with Shadows, 1997. Just no Montreal screw job in the end. It was pretty much WWE's proverbial fuck you finger in the ass for the last couple of weeks, if not months. And before I say anything else, I want to make this clear. There is no reason why WWE cannot still offer a contract to Kross and Scarlett. In fact, if I'm WWE, because let me tell you something, Kross has been a supporter of us before he ever got into wrestling. Kev and I have been supporters of Kross since he's been in wrestling. Kev was a very good friend to Kross. I was a friend of Kross as well, but Kross and Kev had a different friendship. A lot of, preferences with music, but dealing with a lot of mental health. And yes, I got the book. I haven't read it yet, but I know already that book has a lot to do with mental health and struggles. It baffled me, not too many people, but it baffled me over the last year or two. Some of you who supported me, who supported Kev, but would then try to get us to turn against Kross. And I can never understand that. Was the helmet stuff god-awful? Yeah. I tried to turn chicken shit into chicken salad talking about it, but at the end of the day, it was awful. Believe it or not, this week is the anniversary that Kross and Scarlett returned to the WWE. You remember 3-4 months ago? And I did this out of respect for Kross, and I did this out of respect for Scarlett. I said something on this show, and I know a lot of you will remember it. But I said, if you want to get an idea when contracts are up, go back 3 years. Go back 2 years. Most people get a 3-year deal. Sometimes you get a 2-year deal. Once in a while, very rare, you get a 1-year deal, but it's usually 3. And you get an idea of when they debut on television. When they return, you don't have to go through the NXT farm system. You don't have to redevelop a whole bunch of stuff. You could just go right in there. This week was the anniversary that Kross and Scarlett returned to WWE television. Attacked Drew McIntyre, turned the hourglass upside down to Roman Reigns, which ended up going nowhere. So you could have an idea, gee, if 3 years ago this week they came back, if they didn't get a new contract, to be 3 years today, that it expire. Let me just tell you straight up, if I'm WWE, I absolutely bring both of them back. I don't know. And I'm saying this out of complete respect intended. I don't know if WWE wants to use them like a duo. Because remember, it's not just one paycheck, it's two. I do not know how much they made. It's none of my business. But the thing is, if you bring them in, you got to bring both of them back. And WWE could absolutely capitalize on this, because let me tell you something. Fans are pissed the fuck off right now. I'm a little bit conflicted. Am I more angry than I am flabbergasted? Just baffled. And I might exaggerate a little bit for friends. That's what friends do. But I'm going to say this, and I mean this 1,000%. I just showed you a little video of Kross, what he loved about Kev and I. We're real. I talk to you as if we're all friends. That's been my mantra since 1997. That will never change. You get honesty here. You get organic, straight up conversation. Yeah, we could clickbait. Yeah, we could sensationalize. Yeah, we could scream pissing in the wind and get a lot more views and followers. But there's a reason why so many of you out there have been with us for years, if not decades, because you are all friends of ours. So when I say this now, I'm not saying this to be totally dramatic or exaggerated. I mean this. I think back to being a wrestling fan since 1979. And I honestly, truthfully can tell you, there has been nobody that I could think of that has gotten this over within the WWE universe. And it's acknowledged. And it's accepted. And you become the number one merchandise seller. You're online. And let me tell you something. You know why Kross got over as much as he has gotten over the last year? It's not because he looks physically amazing in Scarlett. It's not because, they've been underdogs. It's not because they're rebels. It's because how they're treating their fans is something you don't see. You know when you usually see it? I always use this phrase. A lot of people want to say hello to you when it's time to say goodbye. When they get up there in age, when their career starts to wind down, suddenly they're sociable. Suddenly they want to talk to you. Suddenly they want to mingle a little bit more. Kross is organic. Kross, what you see is what you get. That book will resonate for a lot of you out there. There is nobody. It's not Daniel Bryan. It's not Kofi Kingston. It's not Rusev Day. There is nobody. And I would love for all of you out there to post an tell me wrong and write it in the comment section later. And this is not a ploy to get you to post a comment. Name me someone who has gotten this over online organically for the right human, real reasons. And WWE just refuses to acknowledge it. How many of you remember this from a week ago? And trust me, again, nothing personal, but I loved how everybody gave Peter Rosenberg a pass on this. WWE has noticed for quite some time how over Kross has gotten. It reminds me of Rusev Day. Remember when Vince told Rusev, no, they're not chanting your phrase. They're mocking you. Here's the difference. Nothing against you, Miro. Nothing personal. But you were not sociable online. You didn't have real long DM conversations with fans that truly emotionally. There's an emotional connection that Kross has with a giant fan base that no one else has been able to do. Doesn't mean that there's a lot of wrestlers. Of course, there's a lot of wrestlers that are very, very sociable online. But no one comes close to Kross. Over the last year, WWE sees it. WWE understands it. WWE knows it. And then you get what you get at SummerSlam. And then this happens.
Got him. It makes it unpredictable. It's You have him. You have him. You've got him. Yeah. You want Brock, you've got him.
You want to know something? I totally forgot until I watched Kross's documentary tonight. Not too long ago, the fans were chanting, "We want Kross. We want Kross." And Kross yelled out to the fans, "You want him? You got him." Kross said that to the fans. Now, as most people, this phrase, that hits different. Because when you hear that and a reminder of how Kross acknowledged the fans a couple of months ago, then you hear what Triple H said, and Peter Rosenberg, yeah, you got him. You want Brock? You got Brock. Man, fuck you, WWE. Seriously, fuck you. You know what the worst part about it is? The worst part about it is you got a guy that does not want to go to another company, that wants to work in WWE, that works his ass off. Everything he has done online, you know how much more he got paid for doing that? Not a single penny. All of the conversations, all of the pep talks, being real, showing support, showing love, mingling with fans, listening, hearing. See, 10 years ago, we had the voice of the voiceless, CM Punk. You know what the difference is? CM Punk didn't talk to you. CM Punk talked at you. Whether you listened or you didn't listen, CM Punk would have still said the same thing. Kross talks to you. That's the difference. So, in all of my years watching wrestling, I have never seen a guy get over this organically, and WWE refuses to let it develop, to let it go further. It's nothing against Sami Zayn. It's nothing against any other wrestlers there. Kross said something on his documentary, and he said, you know, everybody's supposed to be a team. And you're playing basketball, and they say, pass the ball. All right, we're going to do this play, but pass the ball. So you get the ball, and you're an awesome three-point shooter, and it's there. You pass the ball. Then you get the ball again. Up. God, wow, three-point shot waiting for me. But you're a team player. They want you to pass the ball. You pass the ball. And then you're in a situation where you do throw the shot and you hit it. And instead of being happy, they get mad at you. Don't hit a home run. Even if you hit it in the alley, stop at second base. Don't go for an inside the park home run. But why? But why? We're a team. You know, why? Because you can't outshine someone else? It's baffling. It's baffling. I will say this, and then I'll tell you what I think WWE should do. Paul Heyman said, you know, he remembers when the fans got behind Stone Cold in the latter part of the 90s, organically. The difference is that WWE was pushing Steve Austin at the time. And they weren't doing that when he was the ringmaster. Let's make this clear. When he started to change the persona, I mean, obviously it was organic. And WWE ran with it and hit a home run with it. In my honest opinion, this isn't going to go away. This is not an R-Truth situation. R-Truth made us smile, made us happy, lightened up our day. It's like you go. It's like when you open your blinds and you see beautiful bright sunlight, and you're like, oh, it's such a nice sunny day. That's what R-Truth was. You know what Kross is? When you open the blinds and it's fucking cloudy and it's raining and the weather sucks, but you know what? That motherfucker is doing everything he can to make it seem sunny for you. He's giving you the proverbial umbrella. Especially in this day and age. Especially in this day and age. You want heroes. You want people to organically connect to people. The very end of Kross's video, you have a woman who had 3 miscarriages that was in the darkest of the dark. And Kross and a few others, helped her. Not directly. They weren't in the hospital room. They weren't calling her up. But just to see organically people who care. Little message online, stay strong. Words matter. And authenticity matters. We don't have heroes like we did 40 years ago. We just had the passing of Hulk Hogan. Polarizing, no question about it. In the 80s, he was a hero, a superhero. My dad is my hero. Not many people who are heroes these days. And you don't have to be undisputed WWE champion. You don't have to be world champion to be someone's hero. They brought R-Truth back. Oh, cuts his dreads. The truth will set me free. Ron Killings. Don't call him Truth. Everybody kept calling him Truth. Why? Because that's what we loved the last 10 years. The fans just want R-Truth on the screen because for a little while it just makes them smile, makes them happy. Oh, you fucking $15, $20 billion company. Tisk, tisk, tisk. That you got to spend a couple of $100,000 for R-Truth to just make us smile for 5 minutes. Sorry if you see me licking my lips. I'm kind of cottonmouth right now. I got water, but I don't want to keep sipping it. Shame on you, WWE. You got to spend a couple of $100,000 just for somebody to put a smile on my face. I will not be that guy that will bring up other wrestlers. You release this person, but you keep this person. I used to do that shit. How could you let this person go, but you let Corbin stay, or you let this person stay? That's wrong. That's wrong. They're making so much fucking money. You need heroes. And Kross is a hero for a lot of people. He's not the voice of the voiceless. He's not the establishment guy. He's not this renegade. But that's how I would bring him back. I would bring him back. I'd have Kross and Scarlett in the audience and let Kross fucking jump the guardrail, kind of like Matt Hardy 2005 when he was fired from the WWE. And then they brought him back and he was jumping the guardrail and attacking Edge. And he even did one where Matt Hardy got arrested. Fucking crowd went nuts. Yeah, this is not 2005 anymore. Have him fucking jump the turnstile, the guardrail turnstile. That's what I would do. Natural born killers without the gore. Just cause disruption. That's what I would do. And guess what? There's enough people online that will give a shit. And there's a lot of people. Let me put it this way. You're not making anybody happy right now by non-renewing their contracts. Who are you making happy? Who are you saving that salary for? In Indie La La Land, 19 NIL people that are not going to be on TV for the next 4 or 5 years? I'm just totally flabbergasted at this. You have a guy that has a special connection with the internet wrestling community. Not everybody likes Kross. Not everybody thinks he's very good. But you have a shitload of people and people in the business that do have investment in him. We all have investment in the WWE. When I buy things or I spend to do shows or I do 10, 20, 30 hours, 40 hours a week for This Week in Wrestling History, and most of it is WWE history, and I work my ass off, I don't do it because I like this person, I like this person, I like this person, I like this person. I do it as collective. But man, Triple H, with all due respect, with all this Unreal stuff, showing us all this emotion from all these people on WWE Unreal, you have a kind of interesting way to make the WWE Universe feel that, we really don't matter as much as we think we do. Like Jey Uso. Jey Uso was over. Jey Uso works his ass off. He's beloved. Jey Uso's had a Hall of Fame career in the WWE. But despite the bloodline and despite the Usos, WWE and Triple H decided we want to put the Jets behind Jey Uso. We want to put the Jets behind Jey Uso. Yes, it's Jey Uso's dream to be World Heavyweight Champion. And they did put the Jets behind him. But for Kross, no one is asking for him to be World Heavyweight Champion. No one is asking for him to main event fucking WrestleMania. We just don't want to feel like, all right, the guy's working his ass off trying to get his persona over. And in the process, Kevin Kazar gets over because of the human being that he is. And you get a huge part of the WWE, enough people where he's got the number one merchandise seller in the company and didn't even know about it. And in the video, he calls WWE, says, "This true?" And you know what they said to him? I don't know. How do you not know? How do you not know? How do you not know what's trending? They knew. They just never saw it with Kross. And no matter how much harder he worked, they set on their ways. No, we're going this, and this. You know, we ain't doing no more Daniel Bryans. Daniel Bryan was great. The Yes Movement. How many times did Mr. Bryan interact on social media, DMing tens, if not hundreds of people, liking every post, retweeting stuff, showing love? No, he was a very busy man. He doesn't have to do it. Kross didn't have to do it either, but he did. WWE totally fucked up. Not because he's a friend, but you see someone organically get over, not because he's doing a mannerisms or catchphrase. 2 words, 4 words, yeet. Yes. Kofi was special. And they made sure to have Brock Lesnar stick a nice hard salami up his arse, beat him in 12 seconds? Triple H, you cannot do WWE Unreal. You cannot try to show us all this emotion. Wah, 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 wah. It may be my last WrestleMania. Maybe my last this. Wah, 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 wah. I love this. I'm investing. Wah, 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 wah. Then you got someone that has a really strong connection with the WWE Universe that says what he means and means what he says and is one of those that will go out of his way to talk to everyone, and you basically are not interested. I don't want to see him in AEW. I don't want to see him in TNA. I don't want to see him in MLW. I don't want to see him in Japan. I want to see what he has built so far to WWE. I don't care if every writer in WWE says, I don't see what they see. I don't like you. I don't give a fuck. Here's one case where we do. And if I'm WWE, I bring them back. I wait a couple of weeks. You start disruption. Something, commotion, something. And you bring it back that way. But here's the thing. WWE can't keep doing this shit. You did it with R-Truth. And look what happened, my friends. If we're being honest for a minute. Oh, John Cena, heel. Oh, never mind. Anybody out there saying John Cena's heel turn is one of the biggest disappointments and failures in WWE history, what the fuck are you talking about? Every single one of us knew John Cena was just playing a character that WWE wanted to do, to just stir it up, do something different in the final. Guess what? I'm glad they did it. You know why? Because I didn't want his title reign to make me feel like Sting in AEW. I absolutely love Sting. I was happy that he got that final run in AEW, but that was a video game run. Won every match, just everything is Sting's rules. And everybody that worked in AEW, look, I'm getting to share the ring with the fucking icon, one of the greatest that ever lived. Of course, if he wants me to blow him, I'll blow him. I don't blame any of the wrestlers out there. If John Cena would have remained babyface and had this belt for the last 4 months, people would be fucking livid. It would have felt like Hulk Hogan in the, 04, 05? Remember when he won the championship back? I was one of the biggest Hulkamaniacs growing up. He won the championship. And people were like, what the fuck? When Undertaker fucking straddled him in the back of the arena and fucking drove around the building on the motorcycle, that was like one of the greatest things. As much as we loved Hulk Hogan, we didn't want another world championship run. And the minute he lost the title, look, I like Hulk Hogan, but nobody wants to see him have one more world championship run. So Cena would have been shitted on for the last 4 months. Yeah, he's going out. Yeah, we'll miss him, and sure, but the crowd would have been divided. Everybody knows that John Cena was playing a character. Karrion Kross is not playing a character. Karrion Kross is a guy that fucking eats, sleeps, shits professional wrestling, puts 1,000% effort into it. If I'm hired to flip burgers all day, I could show up for work, flip a couple of burgers, punch in at 9 o'clock, punch out at 5 o'clock, go home, do my job exactly how it's the way it's supposed to, and get paid for it. Yes, sir, no, sir. Or I could show up to work, be nice to the customers, be nice to everyone else out there, put a little extra effort into it, punch in 10 minutes before, punch out 10 minutes after. The guy eats, sleeps, shits wrestling. He cares. He gives a shit. And guess what? When the WWE Universe sees that he gives a shit, and we all give a shit, and then we realize that WWE does not give a shit, am I going to stop watching WWE? No. Should anybody protest WWE? No. But I got news for you. I ain't going to be investing so much money like before, because guess what? We do pay the wrestlers. Every single one of us that watches YouTube, they get ad revenue, and we'll segue to ESPN. ESPN, oh boy. Let me, before I get into ESPN, every single one of us that watches Netflix, that buys a subscription, that buys Peacock, that watches YouTube, whether you're premium or you watch ads, fucking goes to an event, buys a shirt, buys fucking toys. We're not buying it for one particular person. We may have preferences. Sure, I got shitloads of Bray Wyatt stuff around. But I follow WWE as a whole. You think I want all my fucking money spent on Bray Wyatt to go to Dana Brooks' salary at the time, with all due respect? I'm just throwing a random name out there. No. When I buy fucking merchandise, I buy autographed cards, and I buy fucking shit directly. Here's something. I buy stuff because I have particular favorites. WWE takes that money, and some of it goes to the wrestler, but they spend it however they want. So guess what? We do pay for these wrestlers. And there's enough people out there that want to see Kross, and for some reason, you don't. ESPN. I'm going to read his book this week. I know I might be a little bit of a... This might be wrong for me to say this, but I will have Kross on. He has already told me in the past, whenever you want me on. I just don't want to bring him on. Kross, what do you think? Because I still believe that this wrong can be righted. So I'm not going to listen, did I have an urge to DM him early, say, hey, listen, you want to come on tomorrow night? Do a special stream? Yeah, but for what? I think this wrong could still be righted. And I don't want to bring him on to complain. And, he's angry right now. He's disappointed. He feels disrespected. So I want to give that opportunity that maybe WWE does work shit out. But if he isn't brought back in the next couple of weeks, and it looks like they're not, I absolutely will have him on. And we will have a conversation, with all due respect, like no other show out there. We will definitely talk about very specific things. Let's see what happens. But again, WWE cannot keep doing this shit. Stop playing with fucking people's emotions. This is a no-brainer. Oh, we got to hire 2 people. Oh, big fucking deal. Look at how much money that's coming in there. Get the fuck out of here. So, I kind of recycled the thumbnail from earlier this week. WWE signs a deal with ESPN. 5 years, $1.6 billion, I think. And ESPN is debuting a streaming app, $29.99. gets you 47,000 live events a year. You get NFL, you get wrestling, you get tons of shit. Now, WWE's not going to start till next year on ESPN. I will tell you this right now, and I don't want to start checking links because I might fuck up my audio. Someone earlier DM'd me a link, and it's, you know what? I'm going to take a chance to see if I could pull it up now. I can't. Actually, no, I can. If the audio goes out for a second, don't worry, I'll hit 2 buttons, it'll fix. I want to give you a link because I want to warn you about something. Hang on, I'm going to give you a link. Hold on. Give me 1 second. This has to do with the ESPN WWE deal. Okay. It is ESPN DTC, direct to consumer. That's what they're calling it, DTC. www.espndtcfaq.com. ESPNDTCFAQ.com. That is the link that everybody is reposting right now. And when you go on it, it's frequently asked questions. Will you have to pay extra for WWE? Let me warn you right now that that website is not related to ESPN. That was created by 2 wrestling fans that think that they know it all. Do not fall for it. For everyone out there that is telling you, oh, no. As long as you have this, you don't have to pay anything extra. First of all, the DTC app, it's not even out yet. You're able to have an ESPN package with blah, blah, blah TV. The fuck is stopping them from telling you a month from now, we're going to raise your cable bill $10 because of the ESPN app? ESPN signed a $1.6 billion deal with WWE. Is free money? They're just going to give them the money? No. Majority of wrestling fans, if you have ESPN through this and this and this, you don't have to pay anything extra. Where do you think they're going to get this $1.6 billion back and more? You think they just, is this, I don't want to disrespect any other companies out there, but is ESPN just looking to break even? They have to get their $1.6 billion back and then some. Anybody out there telling you right now in the wrestling world that you guaranteed will get this is guaranteed included, this is that. If ESPN did not tell you, if the business world is not telling you that, do not listen to anybody. Nobody fucking knows. If they gave $1.6 billion to WWE, how much do you think they're possibly going to offer the UFC? $2 billion if they keep them? And then they just made a deal with the NFL Network and Red Zone. Yeah, they have a percentage of an ownership here, but all this costs money. So when you see this $29.99 deal, wrestling fans think that this $30 deal is because WWE's going there. Let this sink in even more. It's only for live events. No catalog. No archives. No other TV. They're paying $1.6 billion for live events. Take that amount of money. Think about the NFL deal. Think about the possible UFC deal. And all of the other deals they're going to be making in the next couple of months. And you say to yourself, how do they get the money back? If they sign a deal with UFC, does that mean that all the UFC fans that have the same ESPN package on Schmuck TV gets it for free? Free! How are they going to get these billions of dollars back? Nothing is free. I'm not trying to piss anybody off. Since 1997, I've always kept it real, straight up, common sense. Will some people that are paying a package deal with Disney and others, are there some people that are absolutely going to get this included? Sure. But to turn around and to make wrestling fans believe that a lot of them are going to get this for free, man, do you not give a shit about your audience? That is so dishonest. There are too many people out there for clicks, for popularity, for name recognition. Look at these two wrestling fans. These are not 12-year-olds. I saw both of them. They look like they're in their mid-20s. And they're actually trying to portray that they have all the answers about what wrestling fans are going to pay for. If you have Disney, click here. If you have nothing, click here. You guess what? Guess what? You can pay. These are just wrestling fans that think they know it all. There's a weird emotional acknowledgement. My God, 1 million people clicked on my website. Oh, life is good. I must be doing something right. Yeah, it's called deception. Please, please, wait. I hope to God all of you get it for free. I hope, well, VPN. Fans threaten to use VPN. And here's where I defend WWE. If I'm Nick Khan, I'm like, God, use a VPN. I don't give a fuck. We're getting paid $1.6 billion. Use a VPN. So what? You're not hurting us. Fans threaten to use VPN. Just wait. Pay attention to the non-wrestling websites out there because they're going to tell you straight up, not just based on WWE, but based on UFC, based on NFL, based on boxing, other sports. They're going to tell you based on everything. It's just like AEW. Next year, Warner Brothers Discovery splits their content into two companies. One with streaming, cable, one, other entities. But here's my point. Nothing personal against any of those wrestling journalists out there. But if AEW was doing the numbers that all of these elite journalists want to tell you that they're doing on Max, how come it's never included on press releases? How come whenever they talk about Max and they talk about, oh, well, they're going to divide into this company, and this company will involve sports and NFL and this and that, and they don't even mention the word wrestling. It's not ever there. I mean, AEW to Warner Brothers Discovery press releases is kind of like what Karrion Kross is to the WWE. You want him, you got Brock. Why is it left out if it's that big? Please, as I said with ESPN, do not listen to these people that have this inferior complex that AEW has got to be on the level of WWE. Our greatest year yet. Our greatest year yet. Yeah, emotionally. Because people convince themselves of this and convince themselves of this. And look, there's nothing wrong with looking at the glass half full than half empty. There's nothing wrong with that. But people take guesses and turn it into facts. If AEW was doing as strong as they were on Max, they would have said something by now, and they haven't. Well, that's not what they do. Investors don't even give a fuck. If you care about it that much, buy the stock and then go on the investors call and say, and ask about the streaming numbers. Nobody asks. Nobody mentioned a press release. AEW's future is not TBS and TNT. It's Max. It's Max. The future of television is streaming. That is not a negative. Some journalists out there do not fucking want AEW just on Max because they won't have to be able to give you ratings anymore. And they won't be able to guess what the quarter hour was and what this peaked and what didn't peak. AEW being a streaming only platform is not a negative. That is the future. Don't know when it'll happen. Could it be 2026? Could it be 2027? Yeah, it could. I'm not saying that it will by then, but one day. Look at WWE right now. Raw, Netflix, streaming app. Pay-per-views, ESPN, Peacock, streaming app. Future of NXT, Premium Live, we don't know. NXT has no deal right now. TNA, their TV deal is about to be announced. I got from someone that I trust that could be a week or two, but could be days. And be prepared. The TV deal is about to be announced. Could it be streaming only? Sure. I don't know what it is. I'm not even going to sit here and guess. It might be CW. It might be A&E. It might be this. You know, we don't know. And I guarantee you there ain't nobody out there in the wrestling world is getting that kind of insider information. So the future is streaming. WWE right now is a fucking mess. WWE is a mess right now. It's not as big of a deal as it sounds, but you want to watch Raw, you got to open this app. You want to watch a premium live event, you got to go here. You want to watch NXT, you got to go here. You want to watch an NXT premium live event, you got to go here. You want to watch retro WWE, you got to go here. You want to watch WCW, you got to go here. It's a fucking mess. People want one-stop shopping. Give me everything together. How come they don't have the premium live events? How come they couldn't do the deal with Netflix? Because Netflix didn't want to pay them $1.6 billion. Think about that. Just for the current events. If WWE did 300,000 pay-per-view buys and was charging $50 a shot, what is that, $15 million? $15 million? Right? Let's be generous. Let's say WWE got 500,000 pay-per-view buys at $50 a pop. That'd be $25 million. How many premium live events they have a year for WWE? 14? So you got $25 million times 14. That's about $300 million. Give or take a little bit. My math is not that quick. And ESPN is paying them more. And they're also going to offer UFC. And they did NFL. And they have this other sports. And they have 47,000 live events a year. And they have this. And you're all going to get enough for nothing. The same people that think they're getting it for nothing are also going to get it for nothing when UFC, if they redo a deal. The people who are into NFL, you're going to get it for nothing also. And the best part of it all, I've been saying this for a couple of days now, and we'll move on. Because I want to get into your questions. That's what Sundays are about. And I see quite a few of them came in already. Let any of these people that think that they have insider information that ESPN is not released and WWE is not released, ask them, say, what channel would WWE Premium Live events air on? And if they happen to respond to you by saying, well, it's going to be on ESPN, duh, kick them where the sun don't shine. They can't even tell you, like, how's it going to stream? You know what could happen? WWE could be part of the $11.99. It could be a la carte. Don't want to spend $29.99? No problem. You could pay $14.99 and only get this. Or you could get the UFC WWE package. There's nothing stopping ESPN to offer additional deals. There's nothing stopping cable channels to increase your bill $10, $15 a couple of months from now. There's nothing stopping any of these people to change things around. So anybody telling you right now, you're going to get this, you're going to get this, you're not going to get this, they don't know. They're lying to you. People have this weird fascination of needing to be right and having to be first. Although, even though Dave Meltzer is now trying to do something different, that we've taken notice. Suddenly, it's no longer, I got to be first and break a story before it happens. No, I'll wait until the story happens and say, oh, I got it 5 days ago. That's happened twice now in the last 3 weeks. All right. Okay, we're going to have a little fun. We're going to have a little fun for a second. Give me 3 minutes. Somebody sent a super chat earlier and asked me about Joey Ryan. And who was this? Tommy D. My thoughts on Joey Ryan getting canceled again. I looked up the story. Joey Ryan was going to be booked for a Portland wrestling event. And this is how they were selling it to everyone. Just think, this motherfucker actually posed for that picture. That's not AI. I'll tell Joey Ryan right now, if he happens to hear this, what your biggest problem is. And it ain't that you want to make out with anything that has breasts and a vagina. This says Joey Ryan, canceled, recovered, ready, truth, growth, grace. And he got canceled again. The promotion got flooded with threats. Wrestlers threatening to back out. You know, just a lot of anger on social media. So Joey Ryan was pulled. Should Joey Ryan be canceled for the future of wrestling because he might have been committing sexual assaults? He might have been this. Listen, I am not defending Joey Ryan. To me, Joey Ryan is a pig. But Joey Ryan, to me, is just a player that took advantage of women's emotions, saw the ones that were kind of down, and basically played on their emotions. You're depressed, I'm depressed. Let's make each other feel better. Let's make out. And he got enough women to fall for it. And they all got played. Their emotions were hurt. Is that a crime? That's been debated for years now. It's been discussed. Should he be banished from wrestling? I don't know. I don't have that answer. But you know what Joey Ryan's biggest problem was? I went on his social media page today. And he's holding up a fucking coin that says 5 years. This is not 5 years alcohol-free, 5 years drug-free. It's like 5 years that he's been going to therapy and he's changed and this and that. Well, if you didn't commit any crimes, what did you change? And he's got this coin and nobody gives a fuck. And I don't give a fuck. Joey Ryan's biggest problem is this picture right here. This picture right here. This is like, I can't even like put it anywhere near Hulk Hogan levels. This is a guy that is like always standing in front of an ocean. And he's got a long sleeve turtleneck on, or a V-neck, or a polo shirt. And he's got this clean, smiley look on his face like, look, I'm normal. I'm cured. I've battled. I'm a nice guy. You know, please don't hate me. That's all he does. All he does good right now is he poses. That's all. He's always like looking with this weird look on his face. This motherfucker has never publicly just came public and said, listen, I was a pig. I was an asshole. I was a player. I took advantage of women. I didn't do anything against their will, but I emotionally manipulated people because I was addicted to sex or this and that. That motherfucker never turned around and ever repented for what he said. What he first did was he tried to sue everybody, and that shit went nowhere. And then he did some weird video that made it even worse. Your problem is that you pose these pictures to make you look like, oh, what a nice country-looking guy. He looks like he's cured. Fuck you, man. You didn't get cured for not holding a coin. I wouldn't be surprised if you take that coin and you fucking drop it in a peep show. All I know, and here's where we have a little fun. Let's flash back. Let me have a sip of my water, and let's flash back 3 years ago. 3 years ago, we found out that Joey Ryan was working Disneyland. He's got that coin for 5 years. So that means 3 years ago, he had the 2-year coin. And he was cured for 2 years. And this guy, after 2 years, I'm going to MC the Jungle Cruise at Disney World. Who remembers our coverage of this? Imagine if your daughter, your niece, is on one of these boat rides, and you got Joey Ryan emceeing. Can you picture it now? Now, unfortunately for this boat, nobody on this boat seems to be in Joey Ryan territory, but picture Joey Ryan emceeing this boat, and Joey Ryan, now remember, he's got all these hot babes. They're on his boat. Yes, everyone, they were on his fucking boat. He didn't do anything. Let's make that clear. He wasn't inappropriate. But just imagine what was going through that guy's mind with these women on the boat. Is it a crime? I don't know. But just imagine this. Those girls on the boat. Oh, now we approach the elephants. Look, ladies, the elephants, look at that long, hard trunk. Look at those hard trunks, and look, they're squirting out water. Look at that. Oh, yeah. In fact, let's do that in slow motion. Oh, look at that. The elephants, they're happy. Those long, hard trunks gushing this liquid, this warm, beautiful liquid. Oh, want to make out? I don't think so. Well, if that didn't help, let's go check out the monkey. Oh, yeah. Let's check out the monkeys. Look, the whatever those things are. Look, and here comes the monkeys. The gorillas. Hey, speaking of gorillas, I wrestled at Pro Wrestling Gorilla. In fact, that gorilla looks like some rat that I kind of like made out with one time. Look at those gorillas. Ooh, look at the big, strong bodies. Those beautiful looking gorillas. Oh, my God. Oh, look at that. Oh, just look at that. Just brings me back to my days of Pro Wrestling Gorilla and being around all these ugly, gigantic gorillas. Want to make out? Ooh, look, there's a cave. Would you like to get a better view of that cave? Tell me you wouldn't be creeped the fuck out if Joey Ryan was your MC. And here's the best part. And just imagine if Joey Ryan was on that land with those girls. He could cosplay. Hey, do you want to be like one of these people that I'm going to pretend I'm the gorilla and you're going to be, I don't know, just somebody on the desert island, and you're going to run up this totem pole. That's me with my stiff horn, and that's all of you climbing up the pole. Look, that is you up top. Oh, let's look at this closely. Oh, yeah. Look at that. Oh, up and down, up and down, up and down. Yes, I edited and made it look like, oh, look, yeah, that could be you. You get a free park pass with your visit. Oh, yeah, look at that. Oh, yeah. Come on. You're going to actually have Joey Ryan be the fuck out of here. I have to admit, man, that's one of my favorite edits of all time. I did all that myself. The fuck out of here. Joey Ryan. Man, you deserve it. I don't, listen, he's never been committed of any crimes. He's a pig. But, man, oh man. That's all I could say. Man, oh man. Man, oh man. But thank you for allowing me to bring that back. Because, you know, I originally was saying, you know, people should have went after the promoter. You know, once the promoter removed Joey Ryan, they're like, good for you. You realized you're errant of your ways. Good for you. But meanwhile, with a clear head, they thought it was a good idea to bring him back. You know, that's the thing. Just because you changed your mind, wait a minute. Isn't that kind of like Brock Lesnar? Like the promoter was going to was going to allow an alleged predator on the show and then changed his mind. He's like, nah, you know what? It's a bad idea. Forget it. Brock Lesnar. But he almost did sleep with Janelle. If it wasn't for COVID, if it wasn't for canceled flight, if it wasn't for him being drunk, but he didn't. He didn't. He didn't get sued for conspiracy to be part of trafficking or misconduct. I don't know, my friends. I don't know. Again, this is why when we do the shows, I just want to have fun. You know, Kross said something in the video earlier, and it hit me like a ton of bricks, because I have said this phrase for over 20 years on these shows. How many times you've heard me say, I've said it thousands of times. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. Tomorrow is never guaranteed. That's why I always try to just have fun now. I'm tired of internet wars. I'm tired of seeing people feuding with each other. Of course, I'm still an asshole at times. And yeah, I can kind of say things that I regret later on. But it's with the intention of just having a good laugh and having fun. There's no malice. Because I don't know what happens tomorrow. My fucking co-host passed away abruptly. And he was my age, and I miss him dearly. And it's still kind of, you know, hard to believe that Kev is not here anymore. If that could happen to him, why can't it happen to me? You know, we see people dying even younger than us. You know, so believe me, I get scared. I get nervous. You know, tomorrow's never guaranteed. So to me, it's about having fun now, being straight up, being real. You know, the most beautiful thing about doing shows like I do and not having to have notes, even with SummerSlam like last week, because if you're being honest with your views and your thoughts and telling things the way it is, you don't have to write that down because it comes from here and it comes from here. You don't have to have a certain format. Sure, we're not the most polished show out there. We're not the most professional, not the nicest looking, but at the end of the day, we keep it real. It's always been real. And I will always continue doing that. Out of respect to you, out of love for Kev, out of love to everybody in wrestling that enjoyed what I do, enjoyed what Kev and I did, keep it real. And that's the reason why Kross got over. He is real. Very real. Thank you. Todd Pelkey. How am I, DT? Hope I'm doing good. Yeah, I'm fine. Listen, for Kross, life goes on. This is a bump in the road, a major bump in the road. Doesn't mean it can't be repaired. I think 20 years from now, Kross will be working in creative, great mind. You know, it pisses me off about the righteous stuff because he does bring up the righteous, and you think, wow, it would have been what an opportunity to bring them in, and it could have truly carried on what Bray Wyatt wanted to do. And WWE's like, no, we're not interested. Remember the Wyatt 6 last year? I called it the biggest disappointment of 2024. They came on TV, simulated murder in a couple of ways. Oh, this is the continuation of the documentary. This is cinema. cinema. And then suddenly they lied. The land of the misfit toys that were never used properly. I'm here to save you. They lied, turned into, we're going to battle bullies. We're going to beat up The Miz. We're going to beat up Chad Gable. We're going to beat up Karrion Kross. And then they were off TV. And then you realize, yeah, WWE absolutely loved Bray Wyatt. And it's tragic. But it was more about merchandising. They kept them on the payroll. They kept a lot of others on the payroll, and not saying that they didn't want to work hard, but you see the way they use some people, and then you got to kind of take a step back and say, are they really invested how we think they are? Man, that'd be a pretty interesting episode of WWE Unreal if they started really, truly being real and realize, you know what? Kross, Bo, we really don't give a flying fuck about you. We don't have time for you. There's only so many hours in a week. And unfortunately, you kind of didn't make the cut. You kind of like what Nikki Bella was for Happy Gilmore. You're this close, but we just don't have the time right now. Maybe if 2-3 people retire, this person starts failing wellness tests, this person gets arrested, this person does this person becomes an invalid, then maybe we'll have a little bit of room, and then we might be forced to bring you in. Be honest. Be honest. Let's see the real, true scumbags and the business. That's really what the real business world is. So I'm fine, Todd. I'm fine. I'm just disappointed, and I'm just kind of perplexed. Perplexed might be the word. I'm just perplexed. You got someone that's working 8 hours a week that is only paid for 40 and takes the time for customer service, customer relations, and is a role model and is getting people, to not only believe in the product, but believe in the people. And that's still not good enough. I'm perplexed. Thank you, Todd. Dan Knightley. Dan, they won't lose money, but I hope this idiotic decision haunts them the rest of their lives, and those Kross fans annoy the shit out of them. The funny thing is, I remember when CM Punk left in 2014, whatever it was, 2015. And I remember those CM Punk chants going and going and going and going and going. The difference is, if we're honest, CM Punk was an asshole back then. The voice of the voices, but CM Punk was an asshole behind the scenes, outside of wrestling. Worked his ass off, awesome on the mic, awesome in the ring. I enjoyed his work. But that guy didn't have the nicest personality. Now, as he got older, totally changed man. I believe the CM Punk you see now is completely authentic. I don't believe that, and that comes with age and maturity. We could chant "We want Kross" all we want, and they'll just not acknowledge it. They brought Truth back. And 3 months later, he's back to R-Truth. Think about that for a minute. He hugs John Cena on SmackDown. And no, he's not going to be the same, kind of like dementia, R-Truth. But nobody stopped calling him R-Truth. I never did. Most of you never did. Just some weird people in the internet wrestling community say his name. Ron Killings. He's not R-Truth. Say his name. Why can't you say his name? Put respect on that name, Ron Killings. No, he's R-Truth. He's just not retarded R-Truth anymore. But now he's back to R-Truth. So what do? Literally, it's like, what do you do now? R-Truth is right back to what it was before. And then next thing you know, it's kind of like that episode of Groundhog Day, that scene at 5:59 a.m. R-Truth thought, say my name. Honestly, it's like the movie Groundhog Day. Bill Murray's walking down the street. He helps the bum. He gives them soup. He's helping that bum. And meanwhile, R-Truth cutting the dreads, doing this. But put respect on my name. The truth will set me free. And it's just like eating the soup. And he's trying to do this. And then, you know, Bill Murray saves the guy from death. Then 5:59 wakes up. Then. John, truth. The bum still died. Yeah, we could chant the shit out of it. Creative has got to start thinking about it. When you hear Paul Heyman say what he said, and you hear people in wrestling say what they say, you know, even if the writing team does not feel the same, sometimes you got to push someone and say, I don't fucking understand it. Why is this guy over as much as he is? Why are we giving this guy a fucking match on SummerSlam? I don't fucking get it. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter what you think. You got enough people out there. I don't remember the WWE Universe clamoring for Travis Scott. I mean, you would think that maybe the creative might start trusting the IWC a little bit more. Yeah, there's some loud noise out there. And yes, misery loves company. But there is a shitload of people in the IWC that are very good people. And, you know, WWE cannot keep minimizing that. You can't turn around and take an entire online community and minimize them because of some people out there that just have to be loud all the time and play gotcha. So, definitely keep it loud, man. Dan, I will keep it loud. I will keep complaining. I don't know if it'll make a difference, but let me tell you something. The reason why I really believe Kross and Scarlett will be back, there's too many people out there that are basing their love for Kross on mental health. That's the difference. This is not yeet. This is not yes. I don't know what Kofi's mannerism was. What was it, booyah? Or what, I don't remember what it was. I don't remember. Oh, no, it was, what he used to do. See, you guys are in the chat, so you can't, like, describe it to me. He used to do like this. I don't remember. This is not about a catchphrase. This is about real life. This is uncharted waters for WWE in a lot of ways. You have a guy that's so interactive with his audience and works double the time at his expense, and you don't want him. You don't want him to go for a triple. Yeah, boom, boom, boom. What did I say, booyah? Booyah-nays. You know what that tells me? That tells me that WWE just wants some of their big stars to just get by. To just get by. They don't want Kross to suddenly outshine you. Doesn't that kind of remind you of Christian back in the day when Christian got in a feud with John Cena and Christian just organically started getting his ass over more than John Cena? And WWE's like, nah, we're putting this fucking shit to bed quickly. And they literally pulled the rug out from under Christian. I remember us covering it in real time. Kevin and I were doing shows at that time. We were like, the fuck are they doing with Christian? We felt it. We saw it. And literally it was taking over John Cena. And WWE's like, nah. We're going to give it to Christian. And they stopped it. Braun Strowman. How many of you remember this? Braun Strowman's feuding with Roman Reigns. Braun Strowman is getting the best of Roman Reigns, turning buses upside down, turning buildings upside down. I'm exaggerating. And you start seeing the buzz online. Hey, Braun's getting over, man. Braun's badass. Fucking love Braun. You know, Roman Reigns, good. Fuck him. Pushes him off the edge of a fucking rampway. Good. Let him fall on his fucking head. Nothing personal. You know, but so what happens? Braun is getting cheered. Never forget it. Braun is getting cheered. And you feel it. And then he just comes out on an episode of Raw. Just like all of you, I hate Roman Reigns. Why'd you say that? He just like randomly said that. And that's WWE. Listen, we can't have this. You have to start shitting on the fans. Just like all of you, I hate Roman Reigns. And I remember like the crowd starts booing like, oh, I get it. Yeah, we can't let Braun Strowman outshine Roman Reigns. So we'll just force the anger against the fans. Keep it loud, Dan. Keep it loud. Jim Con 1479. Judgment Day has totally jumped the shark. Finn is always passive aggressive. They just talk about setting up matches and it's dull. It has jumped the shark. Do you know it's almost like 2.5 years now that Finn and Dominic have had some issues together? Isn't it like 2 years? They just, again, it just feels like, you know, things that, I've said this before, and things that should be able to get done in a month, that gets done in 3 months. It's like they've taken all of the ideas and let's just double the time on it. They've done this for the last like 3 or 4 years. I remember one time, you guys remember it, I think Drew McIntyre was going to be the #1 contender for Roman Reigns' championship. And then they were going to do a match with Sheamus. And then suddenly, I can't do the match. And then it doesn't happen. And then they decide like a week or two later, we're going to do a #1 contenders match next week. And then what happens? The #1 contenders match happens and Drew wins anyway. And then another month went by and you're like, wait, wasn't he going to like be the #1 contender anyway? It was just like, they just, look at the Wyatts against American Made or whatever. Were they still Alpha Academy at the time? Think of the Wyatts. How long that fucking thing went with Chad Gable and the faction. It went way too fucking long. It wasn't Alpha Academy. He wasn't doing it with Otis. It was American Made. Look at the Sami Zayn Kross thing. You know, in reflection, what it seems like? Sammy, we got nothing for you. We'll just put you in bed with Kross for 4 or 5 months. That's what it literally feels like. Do you remember? Sammy's taking time off. Why? You're like, is he injured? Like, you look at the last 5 months, and it's like, we have nothing for Sammy. They really had nothing for Sammy. Let's just have this with Kross. And just, you know, tease like you're going to break up the New Day. And they don't break up. Put the hourglass in the ring for Roman Reigns. And there's no match. Make your return and attack Drew McIntyre. Drew McIntyre goes on social media that night and says, did I just get beat up from the fucking guy that wore bondage and a helmet? Like every single time it felt like Kross was going to get a little momentum. WWE's like, I don't think so. It's not even lazy booking. It's just like, I don't know. It's just really just, yeah, maybe it is lazy. It's inept. I don't know. Even look at the Becky Lynch Lyra stuff or the Lyra Bailey stuff. Just when you think we're turning a page, you know, you're going to still keep doing this. Look at Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan. Remember the final match, this and that, and then they were booked for the international tour, and for the next 6-7 weeks, it was Liv Morgan and Rhea Ripley still going on. They just milked shit. They're obviously doing it with less wrestlers now. If you add up how many wrestlers WWE has now for Raw and SmackDown compared to before, they're using a lot less people. And listen, SmackDown going to 2 hours definitely is hurting some people. You know, you only have 2 hours for Raw and 2 hours of SmackDown. That's a good hour that's being chopped off over there. Based Beerus. Does that say God of 8? Zack Ryder went through it too. Yes, he did. Zack Ryder became the internet wrestling champion. You know, he got himself over on social media. But the thing is, and I'm not trying to throw shade on anybody when I say this, but you know, Zach, it's my birthday. It would make my day if you wish me a happy birthday. And you basically, if I'm Zack Ryder at that time and I'm looking at the computer, I'd be like, woo, woo, woo. Are you fucking kidding me? I don't remember him interacting with the fans much. Most of the people that went through this, they did not have that intimate connection with fans. And Kross has. The nice thing about it is that will continue. Kross's interaction with fans was organic. It wasn't an act, and it wasn't to try to get himself over. That will continue. Zach did a great job getting himself over. But unfortunately, though, WWE didn't see it. William Faulkner, what's up, William? Thank you for the 5 spot. Maybe it's a work where Kross goes to TNA, does the thing where he gets into people's heads and convinces them into an invasion type of angle. Let me tell you something. I would be fine if Kross went to TNA and then invaded WWE or won a championship in TNA and then fucking brought it back to WWE. I would be fine. Listen, I don't get paid that kind of money to book. If I did, I'd come up with some pretty good ones, I think. I don't mind if they do something like that as long as it's being done. I got news for you. The problem you have to realize, and listen, I'm not saying this for clout, but when Kross left Impact Wrestling, TNA, it was a bad blowout. Very bad. Lawyers were involved. I have all the legal papers. Kross sent me the entire file of what he was going after with TNA. There was a lot of money owed. There was merchandise. There was a lot of, this was a bad breakup. I think Kross would go back because there's enough turnover since then, but there was a big blowout there, and he confided in me. He showed me everything. You know, I've been in the insurance business since 98, and I'm in, you know, not the executive world, but I'm on the corporate side, so I understand how things work. That's why when we talked about the AEW situation last week, when they don't want to reveal the members of the LLC, you know, I have 2 LLCs, and I know how it works, and I understand why AEW doesn't want to do it. And what was funny about it is, remember when I brought up last week, I did it on Twitter. This is why I don't like going on Twitter that much. I spelled out for everyone why AEW wants to withhold their members and why they want to go federal. I spelled it out for everyone. I didn't get a thank you from anybody. Not that I needed it, but the wrestling companies out there and the media out there that wanted to know the answers, and I gave it to them, they just took it. You know, once in a while saying thank you to someone doesn't hurt, you know? But I'm fine if Kross goes to TNA. I do believe this will be different. This is not a Kross situation. This is not an R-Truth situation. It's a Sunday night. Give it a couple of days. When it starts, listen, busted open, you know, look, busted open, you got to be careful. Bully Ray absolutely loves Kross, absolutely will complain. But remember, you know, some of them are involved with WWE. So, you know, there'll be some fine lines that have to be walked over here. But what I think Bully Ray will do is he will focus more on how much Kross built instead of how much WWE tore it down. That's the difference. You will see a lot of people in media that will focus on what Kross built over the last year, and they will focus very little on how WWE tore it down. Pay attention to that the next couple of days, because some of the things they say are going to sound spectacular, and it's going to be headlines on a lot of wrestling news sites. But when you notice that they're very, very soft on how WWE just totally tore it down, and that Triple H thing, that was intentional. And that's a big salami in the ass. So, nice idea, William. I like it. Another William Boleyn. Kross and Scarlett are two of the most genuine characters to organically resonate with the fans, since Steve Austin. Yeah, look, it would have been interesting if we had social media in 1997, 98, like we do now. Even 96. I think 96 we would start hearing a little buzz about Steve Austin, but I think 97 is really the year where it would start. Be pretty fucking fascinating to see how it would have been handled. It would have been really, really fascinating. The difference is Austin organically had to do it in the buildings. Remember, Austin got TV time and got enough TV time to get to that next level. Kross didn't get that TV time. He would get a backstage segment, this and that. And even though it's not a big deal, remember what I said a couple of weeks ago? How come Kross is not interacting with Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Seth Rollins? Before the injury swerve by Rollins, they're both trying to destroy Sami Zayn. No interaction whatsoever. Instead, somebody mentioned Kross. I think it was Braun Breaker mentioned Kross in a segment to Seth Rollins, and Seth Rollins said, "Nobody likes Kross." And I was like, that was unnecessary. Not that anybody focused on it, but I was like, why are heels going out of their way to basically say, nobody likes Kross? His character's having a tough time on TV getting legitimacy. Not saying that they're disrespecting Kevin Kazar, but I thought that was really interesting. Like, no interaction. And when Kross's name was mentioned in Seth Rollins, nobody likes Kross. I was like, that kind of gave me a little sign. Like, something doesn't pass the smell test. If it doesn't pass the smell test to you, a lot of times it could be true. Remember when I said there was excessive touching by Kross and Sammy in the ring? Remember when Kross kept touching Sammy, and I was like, that's a little strange. And then some people that listen to our show, tune in, was sending me DMs the night of SummerSlam saying, yeah, Kross was high-fiving a lot of wrestlers as if he was leaving. We talked about it last Sunday on the SummerSlam review. By the way, congratulations to VJ. He scored 17 points on YouTube for the channel members predictions contest. VJ, I owe you a 50 spot. DM me, I'll hook you up. Patreon is still not completed because we're waiting on a response from someone from last week. So they are genuine, organic, authentic. You need that in this day and age, especially with, I don't want to use the term snowflakes, but this generation is much more fragile than 30 years ago, if we're being honest. 30 years ago, it's like rebel against your employer, Girls Gone Wild, UFC, Clinton getting blowjobs in the White House. Sorry, but, it was like more like, oh yeah, now cable TV, now you see penetration with X-rated TV, and, it's like things were changing in the 90s. Suck it. Fuck you. 90s, things were changing. This 30 years later, much more fragile. Much more fragile. You need role models. And guess what? Sometimes you need to pay people to be those role models in your company. Kross may not need to become world champion, but in the hearts of a lot of people, as a person, he is a champion. And even though what we watch is entertainment and what we watch is suspension of disbelief, I've said this since 2002. I said this since 2002. When TNA was rotating people, bringing them in for a couple of weeks and they'd leave and this and that, it got very frustrating because you would start investing emotion and time in a person and then they're gone. Why should I get behind this person if you're going to get rid of them after a month or two? So you need to be able to emotionally invest in someone. And when someone is being used the right way, we feel it. We see it. The feeling, you sometimes can't explain it, but you can sense it. You can sense when a company is doing right for someone. You can sense it when they're not. Doesn't have to be championships. You can sense it. You could feel something isn't right. Something doesn't make sense. It's not always lazy booking. It's not always creatively we got nothing for you. Sometimes they just don't want to. Sometimes they just don't want to. You can feel it. And that's why sometimes you have to pay people to be those role models. So I think there will be a good ending to this. I really do. And I'm not just saying that because I obviously care about Kross and Scarlett. I truthfully believe, my gut feeling, and I know Kross is going to see this, my gut feeling, in a couple of days, I think there'll be some new conversation. This is not like, like a hit job. It's not like the mob. We're going to put a hit on them. Once the hit is out there, it may not happen tonight, but the next time you walk for milk, somebody going to whack you. This could be repaired. And this could turn into a pretty fucking cool storyline. I always wanted Natural Born Killers. That movie, Natural Born Killers, that couple, tremendous. Don't have to do any simulated murder like the Wyatts with Chad Gable, but, you disrupt. Cause some disruption. Are they afraid to do it because it may outshine Jey Uso? It may outshine Sami Zayn? I got news for you, my friends. I'm going to say something now that nobody has said, and it's definitely something to think about. WWE might have gotten pissed off that fans were more into Kross than Sami. Sami's one of their biggest baby faces. That guy probably is going to win the world championship by WrestleMania next year. And the idea that despite all of what they have done to build up Sami Zayn for the last couple of years, now you get this guy, and fans are now audibly and online intentionally, we're into him more. Nothing personal against Sami. We just like him more. WWE might have been pissed off at that. Thank you, Williams, for that. Jim Khan, he legit thought he would main event someday. Listen, he could obviously still main event. I just don't want to see him in AEW. There's too many moving parts in AEW. Even if he walked in and fucking had that moment, the lights go out, they go on, and fucking people are just popping like a maniac. He's not going to overcome, all of the Tony Khan's boys. There's too many people there. There's too many moving parts. Yeah, they'll come up with a championship for him. He'll be the fucking underground next door neighbor world champion. I just don't think that's not a company where he can get that spot and get that opportunity. TNA, I think, is a different story. I think TNA, he'd be a bigger, a medium large fish in a small pond. I think he definitely could do something in TNA. But I also think fans want to see WWE give him his flowers. You know what I mean? I just feel like that's what's there. And I think it'll happen. I really do. He will main event someday. You got to keep in mind, too, I think he's 40. Still got plenty of years. But let's see what happens. Just the contract literally expired today. It's literally today. So, even if it takes 2-3 weeks, so what? I will tell you, Kross is going to do well with the book. Kross is going to do well with his film. Financially, I don't think there'll be any struggle there. But I know he absolutely loves working for WWE. And I know he would prefer to stay with WWE. This is not a guy that's demanding $1 million. Pay me. It's not like the Job Squad. Pin me, pay me. He's not commanding an insane amount of money. This is someone who is very well respected and well liked. We'll see what happens. Blazing Bolts. WWE sucks. Their product is like Disney on ice, especially since their main champion is that boring mid-carder, Cody Rhodes. Triple H sucks as a booker. It's kind of amazing that the two wrestlers that were the top selling of merchandise end up getting cut. It's like revenue doesn't even save them. It's almost like we got to protect the ones that we want to build. It's almost like WWE has their mind set. We're doing this, and this. And I don't give a shit how over you get your ass over. We're not moving from this, and this. I think that's kind of how I feel about it right now. I wouldn't take it out on Cody Rhodes, though. Cody Rhodes is the ambassador of that company. Cody Rhodes does what he needs to do. He's not lazy. The guy works overtime. The guy is, straight up classy. I get some of the things, behind the scenes in AEW were a little bit, might have gotten to his head a little bit. Cody Rhodes is definitely the right person to be the number one person in that company. You take away Cody Rhodes, who are you going to put as number one guy? You really can't. Roman Reigns, tail end of his career. Randy Orton, part-timer. You could have some qualifications, but as far as someone who can do media, clean cut, family legacy, clean, nice suit, and then when you need to, for the adults out there, have some vodka. You know what I mean? He is the person to do it all. So I wouldn't say Triple H sucks as booker, but I remind everyone that Triple H has been there for 3 decades, and he was under Vince McMahon's wing. The idea that Triple H for the last 20 years, can't wait till Vince is gone. I finally get to do what I want. Blah, 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 blah. I remember when they kept Bruce Pritchard, and they kept, some people in the company, and people like, that should have been the first person they fired. They kept this person, kept this person. And then you realize, oh shit, it's like the same people as before. And of course, Triple H has got to give the smoke and mirrors that he's looking at for us. That he is, WWE, and it's all about, the company and the fans and the universe, blah, 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 blah. And then you realize, Triple H is not much different than he was before. He does give some people opportunity, no question. There's some people that you kind of scratch your head sometimes and say, why is this person getting this much TV time? Well, he's one of Triple H's boys. But unfortunately, at the end of the day, Triple H has got to answer to Nick Khan and Ari Emanuel and a bunch of others. And they're the ones like, we just, we don't like this person. We just don't feel this person is beneficial for the company. It's more than one person. The idea that Triple H is the be-all, end-all with contracts is very, very wrong. Thank you for that. And he says, I enjoy your streams, and Marvin Movie Monsters too. Very cool. Very, very cool. I thank you very much for that, Mr. Bolts. Can I call you BB? Blaze and Bolts. Wrestle Mess. I like that name. He could see Kross coming back as Killer Kross in TNA. You know, the funny thing is, he would have to come back as Killer Kross. But you have to be a killer. That's why the natural born killers thing is perfect for me. He has to disrupt. Doesn't have to go Wyatt to Chad Gable on anybody, or Postal. They gotta disrupt. You know, I already envision in my head, jump the guardrail, fucking lay somebody out. What is he doing here? He's not part of our roster. Fucking run back through the crowd and fucking hop into your Dodge Charger and fucking burn some rubber and speed away. Just don't do it retribution style. You know, we don't need no retribution shit. He's got to be a disruptor. And Scarlett's got to have this very sinister laugh. You know, fuck someone up. Do it to baby faces and heels. Do it to Tessa Blanchard. Do it to fucking Xylee. Do it to anybody. And just have this real sick laugh about it. Fucking spray paint somebody's hair. Cut somebody's fucking hair. Just grab scissors. And just fucking, just fuck somebody up. And then just run away and fucking bolt out of there and do that for a little bit. Disruptors. I'm going to take it out on everybody. The way I've been treated, how much I put all my blood, sweat, and tears and then some, and this is how I'm treated. And you just take it out on everybody. That's what I would do. He could be Mike Santana's eventual foil after taking the title from Trick Williams. It's not a bad idea. It's definitely not a bad idea. But I tell you the truth. I'd like to see if Kross ends up going to TNA, I'd like to see him just fuck up just NXT guys. You know what I mean? I would just fuck up just NXT people. Just everybody then you see the pattern and let everybody online figure out, you know, he's only beating up NXT things. So this is a vendetta against WWE. You just got to be a little careful about it. You know, don't do too much and don't overproduce it. That was WWE's biggest mistake with CM Punk. Remember when CM Punk with John Cena, I'm going to win the title and I'm going to go to Ring of Honor. And CM Punk won, ran through the crowd, and we were wondering what the fuck was going to happen. And then what happens? Triple H shows up at like Comic-Con or something. Didn't like Triple H show up at Comic-Con? CM Punk showed. No, Triple H I think was a guest there and CM Punk showed up. And I'm like, this is a little rushed. Within 2 weeks, I think CM Punk was back on TV. It's like, no, fucking disrupt for a couple of weeks. Take your time, relax. Nobody's going to die tomorrow. And they rushed it. Like before you even blinked an eye, CM Punk was back in the company. He's holding up his title and John Cena's holding up his title. And it's like, wow, that was kind of like rushed. It was overproduced too. I mean, we were happy that CM Punk was back. It was overproduced. Yeah, Trick Williams is losing that belt soon. He is definitely losing that belt. Roddy K says, I'll take tuna on rye. I'll take a tuna on rye. Salami is always good. Salami on Italian bread. I can't. The only thing I could eat on rye bread is tuna fish, pastrami, corned beef. And I think that's it. I don't like rye bread all that much. I don't like rye bread and I don't like Ryback. No, I'm only kidding. You know, it's funny. I was working on a history show already for next week. It's amazing how many years that Ryback is teasing that he could come back to wrestling. I like that guy fucking got let go. I think this week was the anniversary. He got fired from WWE. And like every year, it's just like teasing the same thing over and over again. I was like, oh my God. That's one of the painful things about doing a history show. You realize every year, I got news for you. We got Becky Lynch is going to ultimately take on Natalya. This week she takes on Maxine Dupree, and I think next week would probably be Natalya. And the funny thing is, like, I think this week, like 5 years ago, Becky and Natalya were feuding. It was like they kept going back to it over and over. Like, you don't realize it. And the funny thing is, if you go back 4 or 5 years, it's the same thing. Becky's a bully. I kid you not. Go do the research. You could do a 5-on-5. Absolutely. You could do a 5-on-5 TNA versus WWE, but it's going to probably be TNA versus NXT. I got news for you. Why not have Kross go to NXT? I mean, they're going to be calling up Trick Williams soon. You know, you're telling me that outside of Obafemi, for the most part, I mean, Kross, I think this would probably be a good time that Kross could probably do some ass kicking in NXT. Wait a minute. When the Final Testament made that surprise appearance in NXT, it might have been earlier this year or last year, somebody had just won a championship. Did Trick Williams just win the title? Somebody had just won the championship, and then I think the lights went out and they came back on, and it was the Final Testament. Somebody won a title. I was like, wow, that's kind of interesting, like, to try to, like, take the focus off of something else, and it went nowhere. It went absolutely nowhere. Roddy, enjoy that tuna on rye. Bobby Means, thank you for the 10 spot, Bobby. Hey, Bobby. With WWE and ESPN now in a relationship, what does this mean for the future of SmackDown? He could see the Netflix or ESPN possibly getting it, or it might end up on ABC. Oof, I don't think I would want to see it on ABC. It's funny. For some reason, they're trying to rehash that WCW was going to negotiate with NBC in 1998. And I'm like, what planet did that come from? Because I was doing my hotline in 97, and there was nothing going on at that time. Nothing. SmackDown, USA Network has it for the next, doesn't they have it for 5 years? Does anybody in the chat room remember USA Network SmackDown deal was 5 years. This is only year one. So you got 4 years still. So 4 year, 2029. So right now, SmackDown ain't going nowhere. But again, I'm not saying this to one day say, told you. By 2029, a lot of cable companies will be out of business. Compare it to telephones. Compare it to telephones. For anybody that's a little bit older, you remember you used to have the outlet in your wall and you'd plug in the wire so you could make a phone call? And then as, digital phones started coming in, wow, I could get phone for $10 a month as part of my cable TV package. So you just use the internet for it. Little by little, digital phone replaced cable. You want to go one step further. Compare cable TV to dial up with the internet. The future was DSL, cable modem, Ethernet. And we have what we have now. Right now, cable TV is still that plug-in service. By 2029, I'm telling you, I'm not making any predictions about Fios or Spectrum because they will live on in a different way. They have their digital streaming already. By 2029, all of WWE programming could be streaming only. So USA Network, for now, by 2029, could end up on Netflix, could end up on ESPN, could be a new service that's not even in existence yet. I'm telling you, by the end of this decade, a majority of TV as we know it is not going to be like it was before. 10 years from now, there'll be no more cable boxes. It'll be built into TVs. It'll be the Rokus. Anybody remember TiVo? I remember TiVo in the late 90s, early 2000s. I had a TiVo and used to record everything in wrestling. And TiVo ultimately was replaced because your cable boxes, Verizon Fios, you'd have, DVR. And that replaced the hard drives. So this is the next progression. So by the end of the decade, you're going to see a shitload of TV moved to streaming platforms. It's cheaper. The technology is better, and you could make a hell of a lot more money off of it. A lot of these outlets, they make more money with ads than they do without ads. Some platforms will tell you, pay us $15 a month, ad-free. They make more money if they only charge you $10 a month and you get ads. That is true. That is very true. That's why Peacock, it still shocks the shit out of me that all the wrestling news sites out there and even podcasters have yet to tell anybody, hey, if you have Instacart Plus, you could get Peacock for free. I don't pay a penny for Peacock right now, but I get ads. So even though I get it for free, the ads is still making money for Peacock and for the companies. Ads are where the money is made. So we'll see, Bobby, but by the end of the decade, TV is going to look a lot different. And remember this, I can't say this enough. I'm just like everyone else that could throw a nice joke to AEW's way. Absolutely. But people are going to try to convince you the day that it's announced that AEW is on Max only, streaming app, no longer TBS or TNT, you're going to have people that you trust, they're going to try to convince you that that's a disaster for AEW, that is a major step backwards. That's the future. When AEW ends up strictly Max, I'm telling you, be prepared. When that happens, you're going to see a whole bunch of people LOL, laughing at them, funny emojis, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. That's the future. That's the future. Okay. Danielson, as a man in recovery, this shit means nothing. Hopefully, we see Kross at Survivor Series. I don't know what you're recovering from. But if anybody uplifted you, that is a beautiful thing. Bret Hart was you look at Bret Hart today, and most people say, wow, what a miserable son of a bitch. Man, is that guy bitter, is angry. Yeah, I'd probably be bitter also that the thing I love to do was taken away from me, accidentally, for being honest. But there's enough people who really believed in Bret Hart. Growing up, Hulkamania. I mean, I was cheering Hulk Hogan, and in the locker room, he's shooting roids up his ass. He's, not the most honest person around. And then as you get older, you realize that some of your heroes are not perfect. Not everybody is perfect. But we wanted to believe that Hulk Hogan, learned from his errant ways, tried to teach. That's what happened. You know what? I just realized it. I'm about to say, and I'm not trying to be cocky, I'm about to say probably the greatest thing that anybody could say right now about Hulk Hogan. I could summarize Hulk Hogan and his downfall the last 20 years. I just realized it. You know why Hulk Hogan became as polarizing as it is? Because he stopped teaching. He stopped teaching kids, stopped inspiring people. When he was the superhero, it was about, take your vitamins, say your prayers, eat your greens. I know I'm making shit up, but, that's what role models do. They teach, they inspire, they try to uplift you. And Hulk stopped doing that. He stopped doing that. And that's where you need role models. You need people to sometimes give you, and I swear to you, trust me, for all you younger people out there, Bret Hart truly was a hero in the 90s, much more than you would realize. We need that today. And there's got to be room for somebody like Kross that gets a little bit on TV, gets pushed the right way, doesn't have to win world titles, but also is that role model, that ambassador. You know, you need to have people like that in your company. You want people like that on your company. That's why I'm pretty confident. If I continue being real, I'll say this, which is something that a lot of you will not like. I think the biggest problem that Kross faces is that WWE has to pay 2 salaries. But I still think it's worth it. No, I don't think WWE should say, look, Kross, if you were by yourself, we'd give you $500,000. So if you and Scarlett want to come back, we're paying you $500,000. That's the only thing that I could say to myself that could be also a roadblock. 2 salaries. My wife comes with me. I don't know. I'm just being straight up. Daniel, keep fighting a good fight, man. Look, I've had people say that Kev, my co-host, inspired a lot of people. Even in death, you know, some people have learned. And trust me, things that I have done wrong, I would hope some of you learn from my stupid mistakes and not do what I did. You know, it's a part of becoming a better person. Anybody that's ever been inspired. You know, not everybody needs to be on television. Not everybody needs to be an athlete, a musician, an actor, an actress, a politician. It could be your dad. It could be your uncle. It could be a baseball player. You know, here's a good one. Yesterday I watched the retirement ceremony for Ichiro. And I swear to God, I don't mind admitting this, I cried. Cried a little bit. I cried a little bit because I watched Ichiro's whole career. And that motherfucker was amazing. Yeah, I don't like how they're combining Japanese stats with America's stats to call him the greatest hitter of whatever. All right, fine. But seeing him come out from center field and he's completely gray now. He looks older than me. And I'm like, man, that really hits me in the gut. It's like fucking years just fly by like this. And it's like, man, life's too short. You know, he's a hero. And I watched if anybody watched the retirement ceremony, you know what I'm talking about. If you haven't yet, if you were ever a fan of Ichiro, go out of your way and watch it. All the fan letters and the things reading, you hear those stuff, those were real. And you'd say to yourself, wow, this fucking guy doesn't even speak English. And he inspired and uplifted so many people in this country just for doing what he does, being a good person, and showing that anything is possible. You want people like that in your company. You don't get people that worked that hard like Kross and Scarlett have worked. That's why I truthfully believe that this will work out. I really do. And that's just not me hoping. There's more to this. Hollywood guy says he thought he read somewhere that Kross resigned. Well, I'm not calling out any media, but they got a lot of shit wrong the last couple of days. And listen, there was 3 ways the media could go to this. There was 4 ways. I give credit. Listen, I'm not, some people say to me, wow, you give a lot of love to PW Insider and Fightful lately. Yeah, I think they deserve it because they've been on the ball with a lot of this. But I think Fightful said it perfect. They don't know. They don't know. They've heard from some people that the contract was up today. They heard from some people that this could be a work. They've heard from some people that a contract was offered to them. But they were man enough to admit, we don't know exactly. That's one way you could cover this. Another way you could cover it is they resigned. Or they didn't resign. Or you take the bullshit way out. You're like, I heard they were offered a contract. And most of it was wrong. Most of it was wrong. When you watch that video online, you realize that for weeks, this was leading up to it. This is almost like a wrestling with shadows. It literally reminded me of Bret Hart's Wrestling with Shadows without the Montreal Screwjob at the end. Unfortunately, it's real. It's real. Should have had a different ending. But that doesn't mean that it can't have another chapter. So people truly didn't know. And listen, like I said before, when Kev was still with us, Kev would admit to me, he would be tempted, should I ask Kross what's going on with the contract? No, I'm not gonna. It's none of my business. Me too. When I talked to Kross earlier this week, I'm like, listen, it's none of my business. I said, but if there's anything I could do to help, then I'm here. And he appreciated that. And, he told me, he says, all he said to me was a lot of shit's going down. And again, mental health is very, very important here. I'm not one to always push mental health, but this is a perfect example why if there was anybody to keep in that company for reasons other than just performing in the ring, that's one of them. So we covered AEW, Warner Bros. Discovery. We covered TNA with the TV deal, which is going to be coming up very, very shortly. Would not be surprised if it's announced this week, but could go another week or two. But something's about to be announced, I've been told. We'll see, but they have definitely locked something. I'd be very surprised if it was CW. Because if WWE has a falling out with TNA, CW is still going to carry TNA and WWE. That would be pretty interesting. That's not normally the case. I don't see why it can't be a streaming app. Maybe it's ESPN. I know what some of you can say, well, isn't that the same thing with CW? They could have Raw on there. Yeah. But it's not out of the question of it being a streaming app. But, if they do a streaming app, then they could pretty much put it on whatever time they want. Roderick would like to know my thoughts on the MVP, Hurt Syndicate, Heat, and AEW. Yeah, I'll bite. There's a lot of reports going around that MVP is rubbing a lot of people the wrong way in AEW because, number one, he's really, really, in my opinion, protecting Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin. And also, apparently, there's a lot of heat between MVP and Speedball Mike Bailey. And one of the things was that MVP feels that the Hurt Syndicate should, if they're going to drop the titles, it should be for one of the younger teams, like Private Party or the Outrunners, or even, I think, the Gates of Agony that was brought up, which I think is funny because, like, nothing against the Gates of Agony, but that title change would be the Hurt Business lost to them? We used to have this phrase, me and Kev, back, oh my God, it's 20 years ago. TNA, You know, other people's shit is their it. Not everybody, but we used to say that, like, someone else's shit is their it. I really feel that way with some people in AEW. They work so hard behind the scenes and they get television time. And I say to myself, I don't even think you could fill a room. I don't even think you could fill my wedding reception. Like, they think some people are like huge fucking stars. And I look at some of these people 4 years ago, and I'm like, there is absolutely no development whatsoever. But they put them on TV as a reward. But MVP, what you got to understand is that MVP comes from the big time. MVP needs to realize that he is dealing with a very, it's like going from Wall Street to like Sesame Street. You're going from a very professional, very streamlined, very organized, well-run machine. Even if that well-run machine doesn't creatively treat a lot of people good or handle things the right way, it's still, you're going from something very professional to like, hey kids, hey. And he's treating the AEW tag titles a little too seriously, in my opinion. That's what MVP needs to realize. Protecting Bobby Lashley and Shelton Benjamin is fine. If I'm MVP, yeah, MVP helps them a little bit more. He ain't just a character there. He ain't just a friend, and he ain't just an on-air manager. He does help them business-wise as well. But MVP also needs to realize that he's dealing with Sesame Street. And you ain't going to win. And I'm tempted. I'm so tempted to say what I want to say. I'll say it. I don't give a shit. And if it doesn't go your way, MVP, it's not because you're black. It's because you're an uber professional. And I say that complimentary. MVP is professional. Bobby Lashley is professional. Shelton Benjamin is professional. But you cannot look at AEW and treat it that way. It's kind of like going to the indies. Like if you were a major let me put it this way. If you were a major superstar in WWE TV and you get released, and next thing you know, you're performing in front of 100 people, you can't turn around and say, where is my dressing room? Where is my sparkling water? Where is my towels? Where is my customized soap? Where's my axe? No, sir. You fucking dress with 30 other wrestlers. What are you kidding me? Do you know who I am? Yeah, that's what MVP needs to do. Tickle me, Elmo. Am I wrong, though? MVP thinks he's still like in a well-oiled machine, Wall Street. And he's not. That's the best way I could put it. As far as the stuff with Speedball Mike Bailey, I don't like Speedball Mike Bailey. To me, he looks like an extra from like the Karate Kid from 1985 that you just want to step on his feet. You literally just want to like set him up and just put a whole bunch of Legos on his bedroom floor in the middle of the night and like go in front of his window and put the file on. Fire! Fire! And then he gets up, what? And he's just like steps on all the Legos and he gets injured so bad he calls, Tony, I can't wrestle Wednesday. Like, I just never been into him. I'm joking. Look, not everybody gets along with everyone. It is what it is. But if I'm Tony Khan, though, keep Speedball Mike Bailey away from them. You know, leave him there's no reason to have him interact. You got the Ring of Honor tag titles. You got Dustin, who's got 2 fucked up knees right now. You just put Speedball Mike Bailey in Ring of Honor. Do tag titles there. Do trios titles, quadruples titles. There's got to be fucking something else. Just keep them away from each other. Oh, listen, I guarantee you MVP talked to Tony Khan. And what we hear about Tony Khan is, listen, you're the man, I know your history. You're one of the greatest. I trust you. I know you do the right thing. Let me go talk to Speedball. And he goes to Speedball, I know your history. You're the man. I trust what you do. I promise you I'll talk to MVP. And then Tony Khan leaves the room and he's like, ah! He doesn't, and he just looks for his hot chocolate with the sippy cup, the crazy straw. That guy ain't going to be assertive. He ain't going to be assertive. I mean, what makes anybody think, this isn't like reverse cancer. Like, hey, look, everybody, I got a growth on my arm. Look, if you really look, I don't know if you could see it. Look, what's this bump? I didn't bang my hand. I legitimately have this giant bump on my hand. It doesn't hurt, but I just got this growth. I don't know what the fuck it is. You think suddenly Tony Khan, 40, 41 years old, hey, look, everybody, I grew balls. Like, this isn't like reverse cancer. Like, as you get older, look, I got a growth. I got this. I don't know where it came from. Maybe I got to go get it checked out. Like, Tony Khan's silly putty. The guy melts. Everybody, the biggest story of the year, Mercedes Moné with creative control. This ain't hard to figure out. Mercedes Moné has some creative control, as does Jon Moxley, as does Kenny Omega, as does Hangman Page. You know what the creative control is? Tony, I think I should hold 9 belts. Is it okay if You're the GOAT. You're the greatest of all time. You're the best. I know. I trust you. Just do what you do. It's fine. You're the great. Tony, I don't think I should lose anytime soon. It might hurt my little bit of credibility of being 9 belts Moné. You're the boss. You're the GOAT. You're the best of all time. You're the greatest. You're Moné. You're Moné. You're Mona Lisa. I trust you. That's creative control. Tony, I don't want to lose. I don't think it's a good idea. What do you think? He melts. Sting. Suddenly we think like Sting has never committed a sin in his life. For some reason, people want Sting to become a pope. He's one of the greatest. I love Sting. I was so happy that he came back. But people turned him into like this pope. Like Sting, I don't think I should lose a match. You're a legend. You're a Hall of Famer. You're the greatest of all time. Sting, you do what you want. Of course not. Of course not. Tony, maybe I should use it. No. You're going to go undefeated. And then Sting leaves the room. I got this sucker. That's creative control. When you could go up to your boss, say, listen, I think of Fridays we should dress down. I think, a lot of places dress down Friday. Come in with just underwears if you want. Fuck it. Just take everything off. I trust you. That's creative control. Being able to manipulate your boss just by being nice and sweet. Moxley, I think we should do Death Riders. I think we should do this. I think I should carry the title in a briefcase. Why? Because I trust you. You're one of the greatest. That's creative control. Trust me, my wife has creative control over me. Honey, can we go out for lunch? Honey, come on, I got bills to pay today. Come on. Don't you want to make your wife happy? That's creative control. Shout out to, he left no comment though. Corona Weeks. Shout out to Corona Weeks. Thank you for the two spot, my friend. Much love. So, guys, we've been going 2 hours and 20 minutes. Can we wrap it up in 10 minutes, you think? What do you guys want to talk about? So, what do you want to talk about? Look, the Kross story is obviously going to be the biggest story next couple of days. I'm going to reach out to him. And like I said, I don't want to ask him to come on too soon. I think there'll be some negotiations. If he gives me any information and he says you can share it, I will share it with you. But I also believe it would be wrong for me to bring him up right now. Kross, what do you think? Like, you're like, right now he's pissed. He's angry. He's disappointed. He's confused. Trust me, you watch that documentary, you'll realize WWE was preparing this. It's a different kind of screw job. This was what I will tell you I find surprising is that WWE let him work SummerSlam. If they were not renewing his contract, they trusted him enough to have the SummerSlam match. He could have easily, been just, no, look, we're going a different direction. We're not going to use you for SummerSlam. Usually when your contract is not going to be renewed, usually they kind of like take you off the road for a couple of weeks. And so you don't kind of like go into business for yourself. And I believe they trusted Kross enough that he was not going to do that. But it is kind of interesting. Let me put it this way. If Vince McMahon was still in charge, Kross would not have faced Sammy at SummerSlam. He would not have faced Sammy at SummerSlam. Yes, I did see Hell Knight. Thank you for the 6 spot. He says, did I realize that he had almost 20 people live, 20,000 people live, 20 people live. That's Joey 924 numbers. I was one of them. In fact, I see they do these experience points now. Listen, my friends, I know I ended up being the number 1 on that list because Kross has always been a friend to Kev and I and has always supported us. And he's one of the few that will publicly give us a plug. And I know I'm saying Kev as if it's the present, it's force of habit, but, I always want to show, if I can, I always want to show that support. Not saying this for brownie points, but if you guys remember, Kross and Scarlett, their first ever autograph figure, WWE figure, their first ever figure that came out, they autographed it and they wrote number 1 on the figures. And WWE put it up for auction. And whoever won the auction would have the first ever autographed Kross figure and first ever Scarlett figure. And I won both auctions. Yeah, I put on a credit card and probably still paying it off today. But I wanted Kross's first one. And I had it in the background for a little while. And then Scarlett's went up for auction. I'm like, yeah, they got to be together. So I won Scarlett's too. And I had DM'd Kross probably about 2 months after. I'm like, look, if you want these, I'll send them to you. This way you have them for your own collection, your first ever autograph. And he was cool, didn't want it. I gave him the Kev. I gave both autograph figures to Kev. Now I'm kicking myself in the ass. I'm like, they're just probably sitting on a shelf right now somewhere in a box. I could have thrown them on eBay and made $3,000. No. I gave it to Kev because Kev cared that much for Kross. They were very, very tight online. They would talk several times a week, wee hours in the morning, had a really, really good friendship. And it meant a lot to Kev. And that meant a lot to me too. So, to see Kross finally get over like this, it's extra special. No, I'm not going to say to you, I told you so. And if Kev was still with us right now, Kev would not say, I told you so either. But the side of Kross that people did not know, the personal side of him, is what got him over the last year. That's what got him over. He is just organically one of those guys that just loves the interaction, loves to inspire, loves to help others, battled himself. That's why, when I played that video at the beginning of the show, there's more than one cameo video like that. He went on Twitter a couple of years ago and just gave us plugs because we got back together. I just raced to find one just to share with everyone to show you why we cared as much as we did, because we knew the type of person he was. And in a lot of ways, we relate. And in that documentary, when he talks about dealing with people straight up and needing more of that today, that's inspiring. And I take pride in that. Listen, again, there's definitely things that I can do to inflate numbers and even revenue with what I do. But that will take away from who I am and how I operate. And when you are straight up real and honest and don't mind showing your flaws, this is not hard to do. It took me many years to get to that point. 5, 6, 7 years ago, 8 years ago, I definitely was a different person. You just grow up, you mature. You get at peace with yourself. Like, okay, and I'm not the best person. I'm not this. I don't have to always be in control. And, that's why he clicked with so many people. Because you could create an online persona, and we used to talk about that 15 years ago. People created these fake lives online, and then they lived those fake lives through social media for years and years and years. But once the internet is off and the computer's turned off, you got real life staring at you in the mirror. And unfortunately, no one online knows that real life. And that pressure of maintaining a fake life or convincing yourself that something is that it's not, that could really, really fuck someone's mind up. There's some serious mental health shit there. And that's why, like I said, he connected with so many people because he kept it real. And you can tell when someone is authentic. You can tell when someone is just saying what he needs to say to get himself over, or saying what he needs to say because it's the right thing to do, or saying what he needs to say because it'll get him the maximum attention. That's why Kross isn't world champion. That's why Kross isn't a main event guy right now. That's why Kross doesn't have the giant contract. Because Kross would rather be true to himself, say what he means and means what he says. And he doesn't have to be that top person, but he should have a spot. And I do believe that spot will be filled again. Scorpio is asking, did Kross piss off Triple H? I don't know. My gut feeling is yes. Yes. I think he pissed off creative. Triple H is very well liked. Triple H will give opportunity. But remember, this is no longer the Vince McMahon company. Creatively, that's a good or a bad depending on who you are. But this is a company where you're realizing now that there are made people. This is the best way I could put it. There are chosen people in the WWE. You can feel who the chosen people are. Jey Uso, Cody Rhodes, Sami Zayn, Kevin Owens, Randy Orton. Go down the line. Drew McIntyre, CM Punk, Seth Rollins, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed. There are some, you could feel who the chosen ones are. And if you're not the chosen one, fall in line. And if you do get put in a position where you can hit a home run, Just hit a double. Right now, we're focusing on these other people. We don't need to have a whole bunch of noise reflected on you right now, even if it's good. We want to divert most of our attention to CM Punk, to Roman Reigns, to Jey Uso, to Braun Breaker, to Seth Rollins. Those are the ones. Everyone else, you're a Tozawa. You're a Chad Gable. You're El Grande Americano. You're a Grayson Waller. You fall in line. Stay in that lane. Don't do too much. Don't, get your name out there too much. Just stay in your lane. And if the stars align, maybe one day you'll become one of those chosen ones. And that's kind of how I feel this is. WWE has their chosen ones. And maybe the turning point was around WrestleMania that time when he went on that tirade. It reminded me of the loose cannon Brian Pillman. It reminded me of, just kind of like that. But I wonder if WWE was like, the fuck was that? Why did you do that? It's great and everything, but why? We don't have nothing for you right now. Like, what are we going to do? All right, we got nothing with Sami Zayn. Sammy, you're lying. Why do you care if I lie? Sammy, you're lying. Sammy, you're lying. Admit that you're lying. No, I'm not lying. Yes, you are. Maybe you're lying. No, I'm not. That's what it kind of feels like. He's not a chosen one. And he got himself over, and WWE's like, he's still not a chosen one. I hope they do work out a deal. Kross has all my support. And I know he has a lot of your support as well. We'll see what happens. R-Truth was a chosen one. But R-Truth, it just got old. Just got old. WWE's like, look, we've milked that prostate way too many times. We've milked those udders so many times. We got 9,500 gallons of milk. That's it. They're shriveled up. There's no more milk in those nipples. Truth, you damage goods. We can't suddenly change it now. Cut your hair, fucking commit a crime, just fucking call it, change your name, get rid of the nickname, attack people. People could be like, that's not what I want. That's not what I fell in love with. Oh, nice, he's still on TV. But that's not like doing anything. Oh, he's employed. It's like during COVID era. Oh, how could you release someone during COVID? Because they're not beneficial or profitable for the company anymore. So I think Kross did piss off Triple H. I think Kross got frustrated and he's like, I'm going to force their attention. And unfortunately, it didn't work. It worked a little bit, but it didn't work. Now WWE needs to realize how much he affected people personally. There's got to be room for somebody like that in that company. They do speaking engagements. They used to go to schools. They used to talk in front of, in colleges. People still go to school. How is this man not visiting like hospitals and goes seeing the troops? Or, he doesn't have to be the only one. I remember back in the day, you'd have 3, 4, 5 people doing it. And listen, before anybody says to me, well, why is that, DT? Well, I'll give you the answer, because he's been a heel. He's been a heel. Him and Scarlett have been heels, attacking people with pipes. What are you going to do? Show him, Kross was at a children's hospital today. This and that. Like, man, but we're using him as a heel right now. It's not, it's, of course, people know the difference between the two, but they're not building him up as a baby face. So remember when Kev used to say earlier this year before he passed, he used to say they got to turn Kross babyface. He's got a book coming out. When people understand that book and his battles and how he got to this, it's going to be so inspiring. They have to turn him babyface. Here's that time. Kross, if they bring him back, he has to be a babyface. Even if he's a disruptor, he has to be a babyface. And we'll see if it happens. May not happen. May not happen. Theme Parks and Things with Johnny. What's up, my friend? Thank you for being a channel member here for 3 years and 7 months. Wow. We've been doing this a little while on YouTube. He's freaking pissed. Kross and Scarlett deserve better for sure. Worked so hard. I don't know, DT, I'm so close to going away from WWE a bit. This is sour to me. Listen, there's too many people in WWE that we like that I wouldn't, if you're a wrestling fan, don't block out a part of what you like because of a horrible business decision like this. What I would, though, do is, maybe you don't spend as much money like you did before. Or you voice your complaints. Keep it loud. Complain. Even if you don't say anything, if someone else does, retweet it. Post it. There's other ways of doing it. You don't have to financially support someone by supporting them. I'm a wrestling fan. I didn't stop watching AEW for a period of time because of one particular asshole or two. It was a bunch of things together that it was just I'll just check out this person's match, next week when I have the time. Little by little, I started watching AEW again. But, I'm not going to suddenly cut off a company because something like this. But I will tell you, I lose confidence that WWE truly does cater to fans as much as we think they do. There's only so many times you could play that game. And WWE right now cannot do anything wrong. They're still selling out buildings. They're still making insane revenue. They're still making, record revenue. So any one person is not going to change this. But we absolutely could disrupt. It's not hijack Raw. None of us are going to be able to do that. And trust me, there's going to be some geniuses out there. Let's all protest. Next Monday, none of us watch Raw. Let's make it the lowest viewed Raw on Netflix to date. Then the following week, we're watching Raw again. What does that do? We sent a message. Send a message by being loud. Complain. Say the chants. I'll tell you this much. I lost a lot of respect for Triple H last week when he did that. And Peter Rosenberg, fuck you, man. Nothing personal, man. If I ever met you, I'd shake your hand. I'd be like, nice to meet you, asshole. What a fucking corporate, I get it. You have to kiss ass, man. But trust me, they definitely addressed, what if the crowd starts chanting, we want Kross? It sounds like Brock. We'll just say Brock. Remember that clip. Rosenberg is the first one to say, you got him. You got him. What the fuck does that mean, Peter? His contract was done. SummerSlam was over. He's finished. What do you mean you got him? And Triple H yeah, you got him. You want Brock? We got Brock. You're an asshole. You are an asshole. I get it. That's how you keep your job. But, we take notice. When wintertime comes and you slip on ice and you crack your head open, trust me, we're not going to say, we send our best wishes to Peter Rosenberg on a speedy recovery. No, instead we'll be like, watch where you're walking next time, asshole. Scorpio, thank you for the super shout out, my friend. Scorpio says, if I'm Kross, I would give AEW a shot. Last thing I would want to do is be somewhere when you're not wanted. Look at what happened with R-Truth. Kross is wanted. The WWE Universe wants him. When Raw's on Netflix, it's not on Netflix so the executives can watch. It's for all of us to watch. We want Kross. A lot of us want Kross. Not everybody wants Kross, but a lot of people want him. I'll tell you this much, a lot of people want him a hell of a lot more than some other people that are on TV. I just don't like the AEW idea because Kross is not going to, he's not going to shoot on WWE. This is not a case where Kross is going to be in the ring and start really going vicious on WWE like that. He could express his disgruntledness, no question. He's doing it right now. But the idea that you're going to get, fuck you, Hunter, but you're not getting that. And Kross just said on his video, he doesn't want to go anywhere else. He would prefer WWE. It ain't his choice. If WWE don't want you, obviously you're going to be forced to move on. If I'm in a relationship with someone and I don't want to break up with that person says, listen, I don't want to be around with you anymore. But honey, we're great together. Doesn't matter. I'm moved on. I'm already seeing someone else. What are you going to do? Become a cuck? Or are you going to move on? So this isn't Kross's decision to make. If WWE still says, sorry, not right now, Kross has to move on. The deep hatred that Tony Khan and some of the people have there for WWE, Kross going there, knowing where they just heard him say, I don't want to go anywhere else. They know he's their second or third or fourth choice. They ain't going to use him, right? They want to use people there where AEW is kind of like their own planet. Planet happiness. Like, oh, we love it here. It's our greatest year yet. We walk outside, we see bunnies everywhere and flowers and life is good and everything is amazing. And thank you, Tony. And oh my God, this is amazing. We're so good that Hangman wanted Ospreay to main event All In and Ospreay wanted Hangman to win it All In. And Mercedes Moné is willing to job every single week, but it's not up to her. And Adam Copeland, oh, this is the greatest place ever. This is where I want to die. And blah, 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 blah. And all this is done 15, 20 years from now. We'll get interviews like AJ Styles talking about Dixie Carter. And it'll be like, look, we had to say this. It's fucking Tony Khan. He's a billionaire fucking baby. He's got the age of a 42-year-old, but the mindset of a 12-year-old with the bankroll of a billionaire. Of course we had to say this. You know, some people would even dare say, you know, look at him. It's autistic. You know, we got to say that. We got to make him feel like he's the greatest amazing ever. That's why when Vince McMahon retired in 2022 or 2023, when Vince McMahon retired, literally 5 minutes later, Tony Khan with the tweet, I'm happy to announce that I'm the longest existing tenured CEO of all time. Wow, man. Wow, the body's not even cold yet. And you're up there fucking bragging that you're now the longest tenured executive, in wrestling. My God. That fucking ego is fragile. That's why, like I said, you look at the Dynamite ratings. The elite media doesn't include Max. Doesn't include Max. Doesn't include Max. If I'm WWE, I'd fucking turn around and say, SmackDown in USA scored a 1.5. Doesn't include the 2 a.m. replay. Doesn't include the Saturday replay. Doesn't include the hundreds of millions of YouTube views. Doesn't include the views on Twitter. Doesn't include the views on Hulu. Doesn't include the views on... I mean, come on, man. They're so insecure that they always got to add something else. Yeah, but it doesn't include this too. If you add the two together, it's bigger than everything else. These are very, very insecure, weird people. And sorry, when I see a building that seats 15,000, you only draw 3, that tells me something. When Warner Brothers Discovery doesn't even mention the letters AEW in a press release, you would think it's a Briscoe brother from fucking 2020. That tells you something. Words matter. And when you don't say the words, that matters even more. It's kind of like Joe Biden. I don't get political on these shows anymore, but it's kind of like Joe Biden. We all knew the guy had dementia. We all knew that he was a couple of eggs short of a dozen. We knew that he's just an old man and was not healthy enough to be president anymore. But people wanted to say that your eyes were deceiving you. Your lying eyes. No. This is fine. He's fine. He's okay. He's fine. Do not believe what you see. Nothing to see here. Remember the scene of Naked Gun? Nothing to see here. You can tell when somebody's full of shit. So, I really would not put Kross in AEW. I don't like the pairing. He may have to. He ain't going to control your narrative. Yeah, the Don Callis Scarlett thing was pretty fucked up. Even if Don Callis has apologized, which I don't know if he has, that's just a touchy situation. I don't know. Like, I listen, that's not something that I would even ask Kross about. That's none of my business. That's a pretty sensitive issue. And that in itself could be the reason why they would not go anywhere near AEW. So. Bobby Mean says you're still trying to figure why Shayna Wayne is even in AEW. If I'm Kross, I'm steering clear of AEW. Shayna Wayne, even though I'm not a fan, she looks like she's having the time of her life. I wouldn't even be surprised she's doing it for free. I mean, look, I'm sure there's some people there. Look, I'm fine. You don't even need to pay me. I'm sure they get something, but I don't think that's someone that's commanding a big salary. All right. So we're at 2 hours and 48 minutes. Let's make it even 3, and then we'll get out of here. Bob O'Mac with a cinque. If I'm still up for it, would I go off on the Bully Ray rant I asked someone to bring up on Patreon? Wait a minute. It didn't pop up yet. Wait, what was the rant with Bully Ray? Don't super chat this, Bob. What was the rant with Bully Ray? Oh, I know what it was. No. Yeah, I'll bring it up. Absolutely, we'll bring it up. Let me just wait for you to pop up on my screen and let's make it official. And then, yeah, I'll bring it up. This is definitely something that I wouldn't mind talking about. I'm waiting for it to pop. Bob O'Mac says, oh, here it is. Okay, here it is. There we go. If I'm still up for it, would I go off on Bully Ray? Okay. Bully Ray, and I'm being respectful here, said one of the dumbest things that I have heard in a very, very long time. I mean, just absolutely stupid. It has to do with WWE Unreal. And I'm going to show you why I think it's just, I honestly thought maybe maybe Dave LaGreca was just wearing a Bully Ray costume, and it was Dave LaGreca that said it. In fact, I want to kind of believe that. Maybe it was Dave LaGreca just dressed up as Bully Ray, because I don't think Bully Ray would say something so retarded. Bully Ray was talking about WWE Unreal. And Bully Ray says pretty much this. He says, if I go to a bar and there's, some beautiful women there, and then I get tired of it, so I go to a bikini bar. And then I get tired of the bikini bar, so I go to a topless bar. And then after a while, I'm tired of the topless bar, and I go to a full-fledged nudie bar. And then I get tired of the nudie bar. What's next? He was trying to compare that to WWE Unreal. That, we, like, fans are seeing so much beyond. When does it end? It's like the person that started at bikini bars, now at a full-fledged nudie bar, and he can't get enough and he wants more. Bully, that's just like someone saying, I like to dissect dead insects. And I get bored of it and I decide I want to dissect insects while they're alive. Then I get bored with that. Now I want to kill little animals, kill rats. Rats. No. That's not exciting anymore. Now I got to kill cats. Now I got to get dogs. Now that's not enough. Now I got to get humans. Where does it end? I sound like George Carlin. Where does it end? What the fuck does that mean? WWE Unreal. I need to see more. I need to see more. We had fucking Beyond the Mat 25 years ago. We had Wrestling with Shadows 28 years ago. And we did kind of pretty damn good because now we're in the internet era. Back then it was just America Online and 56K modem. And we got through that just fine. Where does it end? It's kind of like the guy at the nudie bar that needs more. Now he's going to go to people's showers. I know what point he was trying to get. Where does it end? If WWE Real is not it's not satisfying enough, you're going to want more. You're going to want more. That was a bad take. That was a bad fucking take. WWE Unreal didn't even attract non-wrestling fans. You look at that rating for those 6 days, and we were doing the math and changing, the hours as if it was a 2-hour Raw. It did worse in 6 days than what Raw does. Am I wrong? I don't know. I just thought it was such a bad take. Somebody mentioned it to me, and I watched the clip. I was like, this guy's actually thinking like wrestling fans will clamor more and it'll never be enough. And it'll get to be the point where it's kind of, what was that movie? What was the movie with Jim Carrey where you followed him around everywhere? Somebody in the chat, what was the name of that movie that you just couldn't get enough? You followed him everywhere. It's kind of like those voyeur, the girls that did the voyeur videos, like 15 to the Truman Show. Are we going to start having to treat WWE superstars like the Truman Show? They're going to have to wear body cameras and we have to watch everything they do. Bad take. Dumb take. Again, I'll write it off that it was Dave LaGreca dressed up in a Bully Ray costume, trying to make a point that just wasn't there. It's almost as bad as the Mike Johnson clip that I played this week in history. It is the holy grail of WWE ripping media. If you haven't heard the clip yet, I have it on my Twitter. This is the number one reason why WWE does not like doing media scrums, does not like people with the intention of doing gotcha. Mike Johnson tried gotcha like 5 years ago, I think it was. And oh my God, to give him credit, Mike Johnson, in my opinion, has become one of the top journalists in wrestling today. I will give him that. He definitely learned from that night. But when you have the WWE management audibly laughing, multiple people laughing in the background at Mike Johnson, you feel him melting. You feel him melting. I mean, his head probably melted so much you probably could fit it in a hat. Triple H, look, we're not happy with Triple H right now, but he eviscerated Mike Johnson. So, thank you for that. We got about 4 minutes left. Oh, yeah, they're definitely doing a season 2 of Unreal and maybe a season 3. You're going to remember something, guys. WWE's been recording stuff for decades. It's almost perverse how much they're recording. I guarantee you back in 1990, I guarantee you, Mark Calloway, yes, they use his real name. I don't like using real names, but I have to say it for this reason. I guarantee you he was walking around in the back, and he's probably like, why are you recording me? Why are you recording me? I guarantee you, everybody that worked in the WWF in the late 80s, what's wrong with you? Why are you recording me? Why is all these cameras around? The show's over. I mean, think about it. You see the footage now, and it's pretty cool. Wow, this is pretty cool. They were following everyone. Who came up with that? I want to know who fucking came up with that in the late 80s that decided we're going to record everybody behind the scenes. The only places we won't record them is in the shower and the locker room. They recorded everything. Almost to the weird levels. Benjamin says, given Nick Khan says no one sits in catering anymore, how are Apollo Crews and Rich Holland still at the WWE? Rich Holland's in NXT doing stuff. Apollo Crews, I'm a little confused. I think we even said it. I think we said it on Patreon Thursday. We were running down the WWE roster. There's a couple of names that have me scratching my head like, wow, I didn't know this person was still here. Again, you don't have to sit in catering. If you're not on TV all that much, there's worth besides that. It's not necessarily being a coach or being an agent right now, but man, you do promotional tours, they go overseas more now than they ever did before. I get it. You know, you want to send CM Punk or Drew McIntyre, this person, to England or Saudi Arabia or, Paris. No reason why you can't send Kross and Scarlett and someone else instead. I mean, I don't know if this is what they want to do, but, like I said, we can sense when someone is being used the right way. And it doesn't always mean wins and losses. Some wrestlers have lost a lot in their career, and we were still fine with them on TV. Wasn't about wins and losses. $7-11 says, where does Jey Uso go from here? Well, we got to see in Paris. We're not sure Roman Reigns yet. I don't feel like they want to do Roman versus Seth. It just feels like it's not the right platform for that. I kind of lean towards the 6-man tag. Listen, God bless WrestleVotes. They get it 50-50, but they're also very slick. And they were reporting the other day, Roman Reigns is definitely going to Paris. Roman Reigns, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, wow, that was convenient. You waited until WWE announced that Roman Reigns is going to be on next Monday's Raw. If Roman Reigns would have been written off for injury and he wasn't advertised for next week's Raw, then it's different. As soon as you heard he's being announced for next week's Raw, then a couple of hours later, Roman Reigns is going to Paris. Oh, no shit, Sherlock. What is he going to do next week on Raw? I'm here because I'm not going to Paris. You got to look closely at how some of these people do this shit, and you can figure out, that's convenient. Jey Uso will probably be involved in the 6-man. Jey Uso could get into a feud with Seth Rollins. That's possible. Jey Uso could get in a feud with Braun Breaker. We could end up with the Acme Insta feud that we've talked about for almost 30 years, where somebody in the back will be laughing at him, and next thing you know, Jey Uso's in a feud with somebody. We had that with Penta and Grayson Waller the other day. That's the quintessential definition of an Acme Insta feud. You know, Grayson Waller's complaining about the New Day not getting a title shot. Penta just happens to be there, standing over there. What are you looking at? And Penta's got this look on his face like, what the fuck is your problem? Next thing you know, they have a match. That's an Acme Insta feud. Shout out to Maggie. Wow, it's 4:14 in Scotland. That is beautiful. I let me tell you something. I love everyone who supports what we do. Whether you live 5 minutes away from me or you live 5,000 miles away. But it's a little extra humbling to hear, you know, somebody tuning in and it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, you know, like me, I wouldn't even watch porn at that time. Like I ain't doing nothing at that time. You know, unless you're working a night owl, you know, then it's not as impressive. But the fact that you do that, that is awesome, man. I appreciate it. Listen, again, you know, I know we're not the biggest show out there. I know I blew it a bunch of years ago. Kevin and I had that #1 spot. If we didn't stop doing shows together, we probably would have kept it. But for me, it's about quality. It's about being straight up, real conversation. Yeah, we get off topic at times, but you know that what I'm saying to you is how I feel. Whether it's popular or unpopular, you know, I always keep things authentic. And listen, you know, there's an audience for everything out there. There's an audience for, you know, complaining 90% of your show. There's an audience for gushing. There's an audience for anti-AEW. There's an audience for anti-WWE. There's an audience for everything but those two companies. There's so much different out there. You know, me, I'm content with giving you how I feel. But I will tell you this, it really pissed me off last week. Some of you that did not hear Monday's show, if you're not aware of it, somebody with a bigger platform on YouTube, I think I know who it is. I'm not completely sure, but I'll tell you why I think I know who it is. Somebody tried to sabotage my SummerSlam review last week. I'm sure a lot of you know that there's websites where you could pay money and get fake stats, fake clout. If I did that, we'd have 70,000 subscribers right now. I'd have fucking YouTube plaques up my ass in the background. I don't do that. I want to know truly where I stand with, you know, audio only, video, you know, combination. So there are places where you could do this, and most of them are based out of India. So I know I'm not like the most popular person in India. So when I look at my stats, I look at all the countries, and if I see something really out of the ordinary, it gets my attention. So last week, we did the SummerSlam review. Great turnout. Definitely gave me the incentive of doing more premium live event reviews, you know, right after the events. And overnight, I woke up. Might have been around 4 o'clock in the morning. And I had my computer still on. So I couldn't fall asleep right away. So I wanted to see if there was any comments and see what the stats look like. And the show went from 7,000 views to over 50,000 in about 3 hours. And I was like, there ain't fucking no way that, I know people just surf on YouTube and probably some people looking for reviews for night 2. But there ain't no way that 40,000 random people in 3 hours just decided, hey, let me check out Don Tony. So I knew something was up. So I sent a message to YouTube asking them if they could check my stats, because believe me, you know, that's not a good thing to do. I don't like faking numbers, because it also fucks up your total viewing. So long story short, YouTube found that someone paid a company to add like 40,000 views to my video. And they're all from India, and all happened within 15, 20 minutes time. And I did a Google search, and I was looking at websites to see how much this cost. And it's about $50. So somebody out there with a much bigger podcast than me spent $50, gave them my link, and said, spam this page with views. Why does that hurt me? You would think, hey, I could brag to everyone, my show got 50,000 views. Let me tell you how it hurts. I do a 3-hour show. Let's say 5,000 people legitimately watch it. Let's say 5,000 watch half of it. It's too long, DT. I can't watch 3 hours in one shot. Let's say they average about 90 minutes. So if I get 5,000 people to average 90 minutes, that tells YouTube that people are engaged enough that they're watching a long period of time. So now take that average viewing of 90 minutes and then add 40,000 more views, and the average viewing time is 30 seconds, 90 seconds, 5 minutes. Now suddenly I have 50,000 views, and the average watch time is 4 minutes. What do you think YouTube is going to do with my show if it's a 3-hour show and the person averages only 4 minutes? That's telling YouTube, this show sucks. So they don't recommend it to anyone. So luckily, they deleted all those additional views and it got the regular push. But what I did was I did some searching on my channel to see if there was any other videos out there that had a big influx from India. And I found a couple, and there was some episodes where Kev and I were addressing a few people out there that have bigger shows than me, that are supposedly my friend and friends of ours, who were trying to sabotage our shit. It's happened before. So just looking at who was live last Sunday at the same time I was, it opened my eyes. I narrowed it down to about 2 or 3 shows. One of those 3 shows, I'm pretty convinced, spent $50 to try to fuck up my episode. And listen, guys, you guys know that there's some people out there that get $1,000 and more for one episode. It is true. I mean, super chats, you'll see some people get $100 shots over and over and over again. So you get $1,000 in a night, it's not a big deal to drop $50 to try to fuck up somebody's show. That happened last week. So my response to it is, wait till 2026 and I do a show almost every single day. Flood it all you want, but it ain't gonna stop. I mean, we've been doing this since '97. It ain't gonna stop what I do. But see how petty that shit is? Instead of just being like, there's enough wrestling fans out there that we could all get an audience at the same time, there's some greedy motherfuckers out there. There's some greedy motherfuckers. So, all right. Let's finish with 2 or 3 wrestling questions, because we don't want to go off the edges talking about YouTube and stats in India. Oh, no, nobody feel bad for me. Trust me. When I saw the number, I was like, wow, that's cool. 50,000. I was almost tempted to tell my wife, honey, look, I'm a star. But then I was like, no. That's going to fuck my shit up. So, but that's fine. Listen, the truth is, and this might be interesting to some of you out there, I still can't believe it. About 80% of my audience only checks out the audio versions. Nobody needs to see my fat face throughout the show. They just close their eyes, listen to it, play it on a phone, in their car while they're working. About 80% of people who tune in is on the audio side on my website. Another thing is that on the video side, like 70% of the viewing on video is through phones. Anything I watch through my computer. Computer's only like 11% of my total viewership. That I still can't get back. I can't believe it, because when I do the shows, I do it with the idea that somebody's looking on a computer monitor. So when I put this box of Joey Ryan, it's probably the size of a fucking Tic Tac on somebody's phone. So now I realize, like, okay, I might have to handle pictures a little bit differently in the future. That is true. That is true. Only 11% of the people who check out video watch it through a computer. I think like 7% watch it through a TV. My age demographic went down, though. When I first started doing YouTube, the original demo was about 25 to 34, which I found weird because I was like, I don't consider myself like popular amongst like younger fans. Then it quickly went up to 45 to 54-year-old. And I was like, that's kind of too old. And then now it's settled in, like half is like 25 to 34. And the other half is like 34 to 49. Well, something like that. It's like between like 25 to 50 is about 90% of my audience. Sometimes you get like the 12 to 16. I'm like, I don't know if they should be checking out these shows. Just Walto? Just Wall 01. He's watching on the PS5. See, that's cool. See, me, I watch it through a computer. Even when I watched Kross's stream before, I should have brought my phone in here. Actually, I did bring my phone in here. But that's because I put, did you see it? I'm not diabetic, but I put one of those glucose meters on because I wanted to see like how my sugar level is. Here, people want to see something? If you're curious, how does a 260-pound, 265, 6'3", kind of heavy guy, how's my health as far as sugar level wise? That's my sugar level today. Right now, my sugar level is at 88. I'm not even on keto. And it's been pretty steady the whole day. So not a bad day today. 88. I just have a couple of these, so I figured I'd use them before they go bad. So Maggie's watching on her phone. Roderick is watching on his phone. Yeah, like, I'm not like, listen, I am very paranoid about my health now after what happened with Kev. But that kind of like, oh, all right, that's not bad. You know, I'm not going to lie. After I'm done doing the show in a couple of minutes, I'll be eating some Nick's, low sugar ice cream. I will definitely be eating a little bit. So I'm hungry. I've been sitting in this chair since 6:30. Kross sends me the DM. Watch my video. I'm going to go live. I'm like, all right. And then I watched it and I was like, oh, shit. First of all, I'm like, all right, the title of the show sucks because his contract was not renewed. And then the second part is, wow, this is like Wrestling with Shadows. It's like following him for like a bunch of weeks up to his final match. It was just like Wrestling with Shadows. Just, instead of Montreal Screwjob, it was kind of like the steady Screwjob. It was like a slow death. But I still think they're going to work something out. I really do. I really do. I think they're going to work something out. Tristan, what's my take on the Rey Mysterio, Eddie, I'm Your Real Father storyline? It was goofy, but Eddie made it fun doing the nurse, reading the book in the middle of the ring. Dominic, he looked like a cute little kid. Like, one thing about Dominic Mysterio back then, and I'm sure anybody that remembers the feud or have seen it recently, you'll agree, Dominic looked so sad. Like, I know it was a storyline, but he always had that really, what he looked like? Anybody remember who was the prick from Silver Spoons? Who's that? Ricky Schroeder. Anybody remember Ricky Schroeder when he played that movie with his father was a boxer? Anybody remember that movie from the late 70s, early 80s? Ricky Schroeder was the kid. The boxer, I can't remember his name, but his father was a boxer and he died. Anybody remember the name? Somebody's got to pull up that movie. It was a really, really popular movie. It's like the late 70s, early 80s. Someone will pull it up. But the point I'm getting at is that Ricky Schroeder was about the same age as Dominic Mysterio during that feud. And his father dies. Oh, the Champ. There it is. Thank you, douche. The Champ. And his father dies. And Ricky Schroeder is like, I haven't watched the movie since it came out. My father had it on TV at the time. And I was like, I want to punch this little kid in the face. And I was a little kid too. All I remember is that Ricky Schroeder, I think Dominic Mysterio, looked so sad and was crying his eyes out. His father died. And he just looked like this really sad little blonde-haired brat. You just want to, I was a kid too, so you want to smack him in the head. Kind of like how I feel now about Speedball Mike Bailey as a 85 reject from the Karate Kid. You could picture Speedball Mike Bailey being alive as like a teenager in a Karate Kid, one of those like extras. It's what he reminds me of. Like he was an extra in a Karate Kid from 85. But Dominic in the feud reminded me of Ricky Schroeder in the Champ. I'm sure there's a YouTube clip of just Ricky Schroeder crying when his father died. I hated that movie. That's what Dominic Mysterio reminded me of. Dave, I wish I could tell you otherwise, but I promise you, it's not a work. Kross, his contract not being renewed was not a work. Ashante Adonis is also not a work. Ashante, the odontist. I almost said odontist. Yeah, what do? I'm a dentist. I pull out teeth. I'm a dentist. Ashante, the odontist. I can't say it right. Adonis. I never liked that name. Ashante, the Adonis. Now it's Ashante, the end. Bailey is a Karate Kid extra. I could see that too. You could see like she's around like the locker room and she's talking to, what the fuck's his name? Oh my God, this one I know it's getting late. Who is the actor in the Karate Kid? Oh my God. Now it's getting really, really late. What's his name? It was in my Cousin Vinny too. Ralph Macchio, that's who it was. Like you could picture like Bailey at like 13 years old, like around the locker room. And she's like, Ralph, do you want to walk me home? I don't know. I don't remember what his name was. I never liked the Karate Kid movies. Like you could picture Bailey at like 13, like around the locker room. And all the girls are like all getting like crushes on Ralph Macchio. Can't believe we're talking about that. Let's finish. Let's finish. It's only 11:30, which is cool. It sucks because my wife's got to be at work tomorrow at 8:20. I have to drive her, so that means I have to get my ass up super early. But I will say this in closing. I promise you, his contract not being renewed is not storyline. It's not. It really isn't. Only thing I can tell you, and a lot was discussed in the documentary, so I'm really not saying anything I'm not supposed to. But I will tell you is that when Kross said that he was thinking as early as January about looking into a contract extension, that's not incorrect. When it got closer, the last couple of months, and a contract offer still wasn't offered, I'm talking like within 2 months, that's when you start questioning. And Kross started to document like the final month or two because sensed that, okay, you know what? If this is it, it's documented. And, if you see a lot of the cameras, like some people are like, oh, he used WWE footage, it's a work and this and that. Nah, the way it was done, it's within, copyrights. But the thing is when he started really getting over about the merchandise sales and people were acting like they had no idea that he was number one. And then he had a conversation with someone that is not to be named. I don't think it was Triple H, by the way. And like they were talking about everything except, like he got a bad vibe there. And then, like there was other things where it's kind of like, all right, here's a good one. Remember when Braun Strowman about a week ago responded to a rumor about Kross, and Strowman is like, they don't want this, they want that instead. It now all makes sense. And Kross getting himself more over, and especially that rant that he went on WrestleMania weekend, like it pissed people off. Like it did the adverse effect. And it's kind of like a culmination of things. So when he started to notice, like, wow, like there's no conversation at all. Something's up. And, obviously holding out hope. Look, we want to work out a new deal, blah, 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 blah. Let's do this. Let's do a month extension as we do this, blah, 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 blah. But, as it came down, nothing. And again, I'm a little surprised that they allowed him to work SummerSlam, because that could have gone much, much differently. But look, there's nothing stopping WWE reaching out to Scarlett and Kross now and say, listen, let's talk this week. Keeping him, there's a phrase, absence makes the heart grow fonder. If they negotiate over the next 2 weeks, and in the meantime, fans are chanting, we want Kross, and just flooding all of the posts that WWE posts on social media, Kross. During those 2 weeks, this could help Kross even more. And meanwhile, they're negotiating a new deal. And then if they do come to a new deal, and then something happens on TV 3 weeks from now, a month from now, 2 weeks from now, it's not, oh, you worked us. No. As of this airing, it is 100% legit. They are not under contract. It expired today. Theme Parks and Things with Johnny says he would like South Park to make fun of the WWE for releasing or not re-signing people. Would that make them listen, or would they like it? I personally think that WWE wouldn't give a shit. Listen, at the end of the day, it's TKO Group Holdings. You got hundreds of millions of dollars coming in. Kross, and I'm not saying this to be a jerk, and if he hears this, he even agree with me. Kross and Scarlett not being renewed is not going to put a dent in that revenue. But you do this again and again, and you do it to Bailey. I'm not saying that they're doing it, but I'm just saying, like, really popular people that there's no reason to let them go, and you just start letting people go. Remember when they did some NXT releases, we were confused. Like, why are you releasing this person? Why are you releasing this person? This person, Cora Jade, it seemed it was more because she kept having injuries, but you start asking yourself, why are you letting people go that are really, really popular? And then you realize that it's a business. This is not just a wrestling mindset anymore. They look at the books, and the board of directors, Ari Emanuel, whoever it is, Nick Khan and others, are like, look, we don't feel that this money should be spent this way. You can make an argument for it, but you kind of like go in line with it. So I don't think it would really matter, South Park. Let me put it this way. We'll find out if it matters amongst the wrestling community, because people are only finding out about this now. Wait till Monday, and shitloads of people start finding out about this. Jimmy Fingers. Thank you, Jimmy. Jimmy says, as we start wrapping this up, if Kross goes to AEW, will he end up with a lucha mask like Brody King and then eating pins from Daniel Garcia, Darby Allin, Orange Cassidy, Nick Wayne, and the Beast Mortis? No, thank you. It's got to be TNA. The thing is, if he were to show up in AEW, like, you say to yourself, who would they like put him up against right away? There's obviously names that he could face, without a doubt. But who is he going to go over on? You know, like, you put him up with Moxley, let's say, or you put him up against Ricochet, or you put him up against someone else, and then what? And then what? They're not really strong with, you know, the storylines like WWE does. And if you don't get that kind of TV time, and let's be honest, we've discussed the way AEW does. You have a match this week. Next week, a random person will come out, have a cut a promo confrontation. The week after, you have a backstage segment with a response. And then the week after that, you might be involved in a match against someone else. And then 6 weeks go by and you get a match. And then, you know, the week later, there's nothing. And then you have a backstage segment. And a week after, somebody randomly comes out. And next thing you know, if you want a good example, look at Josh Alexander. Look at Josh Alexander. I mean, he went from TNA and being a major player to basically just another employee in AEW. I just don't see them, you know, like opening the floodgates and putting jets behind Kross. They're just not going to do it. And here's another thing. Kross, could you imagine Kross coming up with all his spectacular storyline ideas in AEW? Imagine presenting his stuff for Tony Khan. And Tony Khan could be sitting there and listening to it. He's got his crazy straw. And after Kross gives him this whole presentation, you know, like Tony Khan looks, oh, look, donuts. And he didn't hear a fucking word you said. Oh, that's great. You know, that's amazing. That's spectacular. I'll think about it. That's a great idea. And then it goes nowhere. I don't think that would be a good place. I think TNA probably would be the best fit. You kind of look at Elias, you look at the Hardys, and you kind of feel like, okay, you know, it's kind of like showing WWE like, yeah, you kind of like could have had a little bit more. I think you could do TNA. Because if you have some direct connection with NXT and Kross gets himself to that next level, not like Drew McIntyre. Because we already knew Drew McIntyre had something. But when he got to TNA, Drew Galloway, and, you know, he had the extra, like something was developing. And then you realize, okay, all right, now we're used to this level. So I think that could very well be a good. I got news for you. I'd rather see him work TNA for a little while, get the opportunity to do a little bit more that WWE will not give him the time for, and then it works, and then eventually he goes back to WWE. Absolutely. But he's got to be Killer Kross. Karrion, no, Killer. And if he does come back after something successful like that, I think they'll keep the Killer name. As we close this out, John Eschen says, did we discuss the Don Callis? Oh, I thought you were going to say the Kross Scarlett stuff. I was going to be like, no, we didn't. Yeah, we did earlier. I don't know if there was an apology made. It's not my place to even ask Kross if there was. I just don't know, that was a messed up situation. And I just, that was very, very, I don't see them going to AEW for numerous reasons. That could be part of it too. Kyle. What's up, Kyle? Do I see Kross similar to the JBL angle? Showing up at different promotions, laying people out, gaining more buzz? No, because JBL is pretty much retired and is staying in his lane where he could still do a little bit and be intimidating. JBL has that history of being a bully. So he comes out there with the cowboy boots and the leather overcoat and, not a leather, but overcoat, cowboy hat, laying people out. It's just enough where it works. If he ever were to do stuff in the WWE again, it's because he can. Kross is 40. Kross still can do it. And he might be in the best shape of his career. So JBL is well retired. Don Callis is a slime ball. I've heard some messed up stuff with Don Callis, but I've also heard in recent years he's actually a lot better. But I don't know him personally, so I really couldn't tell you. John says JBL was cool as fuck when he met him. Listen, I used to be blocked everywhere from JBL. That guy did not like the Don, Tony, Kevin Cassidy. We used to go vicious on JBL. I mean, not like, it was like anything personal, even though it was. What he did to Meanie that time was awful. Joey Styles getting a little one-ups on JBL was epic. But JBL changed. As he got older, he changed. And when I started hearing about what he does for some underprivileged countries out there, I got news for you. I know some of you may not like JBL because he's a Republican, that he supports Trump. But if you actually look into what JBL does overseas for some impoverished nations, you would be like, holy shit, I had no fucking idea. I am extremely impressed at how much JBL is doing to help others. It's very, very commendable. So I don't have that dislike for JBL anymore. I truly believe that's someone who truly mellowed out as he got older. So, yeah, I think Kross is 40. Before we go off the air, yeah, I'll do this. Hey, Siri, like my dogs. Hey, Siri, how old is Karrion Kross? Hey, Siri, how old is Karrion Kross?
Do you want me to use ChatGPT to answer that?
Yes. Oh, my God.
ChatGPT asks.
It didn't even fucking look it up. Kross, they're already erasing you from history, Kross. Sorry about that. Wow. All right, I will do the lazy thing and actually type it. Karrion Kross is 40 years old. He actually just turned 40 on July 19th. Yep. That was a fail. That was a fail. All right, guys. We were going to stop at 2.5 hours. Then it went to 3. Now we're at 3.5. Now I must say, hello, I must be going. I don't like using GPT, chat shit, AI stuff. I just this week started Grok Imagine, and it's kind of disturbing. I did something that I totally regretted. I found a picture of my dog Peanut that I had to put down like 13 years ago. And I ran it through Grok Imagine because I just wanted I have tons of video of my dog. I haven't watched it since I put him down. But I was going through my phone and I saw a picture and I said, let me put it through. And I bawled my eyes out because it looks so fucking realistic. Then here, look, you see like this picture here? I was mentioning my grandmother. My grandmother's the one on the right that absolutely adored Hulk Hogan. That's her on the right. My grandmother on the right, the shortest one, the plumpiest one. She's the one that got me into wrestling. My grandmother on the other side was on my father's side. She didn't speak a word of English. And that's my mother when she was a twig. And that was me when I graduated high school. This is I have 3 other pictures of my grandmother. But I've been so fucking tempted to run that picture through Grok Imagine. Because I would love to see my grandmother just smile. Like one more time. She's been gone since 1991. And she was awesome. Grok Imagine pissed me off, man. But it's tempting to put something in there and bring it to life. So, yeah. Not the way I wanted to end this show, but you might want to stay away from Grok Imagine because it'll tempt you. It'll tempt you to put some pictures in there that you probably don't want to do. So, all right, everybody. I'm out of here. I hope you enjoy the rest of your evening. Now, I will be live Monday night, right after Raw. I will admit, and I know you're going to say, he's just saying that now. Monday's show should be a little bit shorter than usual because we talked everything tonight that we possibly could about the Kross Scarlett situation. Of course, if I find out anything between now and tomorrow that's newsworthy, I'll let you know. I haven't checked my DMs to see if I got anything from him. I'm checking right now. And no, not yet. I mean, honestly, if I'm him, I'm probably staying offline tonight. But somebody wrote on my Twitter, poor fat ass is getting worked. That's why listen, you call me fat ass. It doesn't bother me. I mean, it is what it is. But now somebody's saying, I hope Anthony is not trying to make this a ruse. I don't know how much clearer I should say it. Here's one. Let's give, as we close this out, let's do this one more time. Hey, look, you're making me become hypoglycemic with this aggravation. My sugar level's now down to 79. Hey, Siri, how do you say this is not a work in Spanish?
In Spanish, this is not a work is.
Esto no es un trabajo.
Esto no es un trabajo. Hey, Siri, how do you say this is not a work in Japanese?
In Japanese, this is not a work is.
これは仕事ではありません。
Hey, Siri, how do you say, hey, Siri, wake up. Hey, Siri. Now, Siri don't want to answer. I pissed it off. Siri thinks I'm a racist now. Hey, Siri, how do you say this is a work in Italian?
In Italian, this is a work is.
Questo è un lavoro.
Questo è un lavoro. How many different forms, how many different languages do I have to say? This is not a work. It's not a work. I know other wrestling sites lie to you, guess and guess wrong, and will do everything they can to clickbait you for ad revenue. If anybody that follows me, you should know me better. I will not work those who take their time, money, energy in watching or hearing what I say. I won't work you. If Kross says to me in the near future, I signed the deal, don't say anything. How I would handle that is if any of you said to me, hey, DT, you have an update on Kross? My answer would be, listen, I don't have any update that I could share with you, but if anything happens, I'm sure Kross will be the one to tell you about it. That's how I would handle it. You would not get me here to say, it's not a work. It is a work. It's a storyline. It's not a storyline. I'm not going to lie to you. I promise you, I'm not going to lie to you. You will not have me a couple of weeks from now, like Dark Helmet and Spaceballs, and go, fooled you. Not going to do that. I'm not lying to you. It's not a work. I will tell you, for some people out there that you're going to come across that's going to say the same thing, understand some people are going to say that because they can't understand how WWE could fuck this up. They don't want to believe that WWE could have fucked this up as much as they did. After how much this man worked and how he got himself over, they can't believe. WWE just learned their lesson with R-Truth. They're not going to make the same mistake twice. That's why some people are convinced it's a storyline, because they don't want to see the guy released. And for those people, I totally respect that. But don't go too hard on those people. But I promise you this, like I said, you know me, been doing this since 97. I may lie a little bit about my weight. You know, I may exaggerate a little bit here and there. But if I tell you something, I ain't going to lie to you. And if I find out something and I'm told, don't say anything, I'll just avoid the topic altogether. That doesn't mean, of course, you can't tell me like what's going on. I'll always keep it real. I'm approaching 30 years doing this. I'm not a good liar. I mean, I've learned that for many years now. You know, I can't lie to my wife. I can't lie to my customers. I can't lie to you. You know, I can lie to myself. You know, DT, you don't need to lose any weight. You know, I can lie to myself, and even that doesn't work. But, there's no reason for me to lie to you. This is life. Sometimes, you know, life doesn't go the way you want it to. You can think in your mind, how could they not see it? I'm doing everything right. Why don't they want it? It doesn't make sense. What do they have against me? You know, is it because they got to pay 2 salaries to the one? Like, I can't answer that question. I'm not in WWE management. Let me tell you something, too. I will say this in closing. Just like I predicted 3 times on 3 shows, and it ended up that Jelly Roll would reveal that he told Triple H that he was willing to job at SummerSlam. You heard that on the 3 shows leading into SummerSlam. Saw that a mile away. And guess what? I'm warming up to Jelly Roll. Guy's a much better dude than I thought. And he's very cool in his Kross video, too. But what I was going to say is, you know, I just lost my train of thought. What would we just say? We were just talking about, okay, tomorrow, I promise you, backstage update on Kross and Scarlett. Backstage scoop, Kross and Scarlett. Backstage news, Kross and Scarlett. No one is going to get any additional shit from WWE management or Karrion Kross or Scarlett between this evening and tomorrow morning. So anybody that plays that shit on you, don't fall for it. Just like don't fall for the ESPN stuff. Wait until stuff comes out. Trust me, if something happens with Kross, they'll want to tell you. If he does resign, he absolutely will not say anything. Why would you give it away? Especially if it ends up being a surprise. Especially if it comes to start. Why would you want to know that in advance? So I don't expect the news to come out. Someone could be a dick and say, oh, breaking news. Our sources tell us is that they've already resigned. Can't stop that. But I will tell you, anybody, and then tomorrow morning, expect it. Who's going to be the first schmuck that's going to say, backstage exclusive update on Kross and Scarlett? What they probably did was they watched the documentary that we watched tonight, and they'll say, oh, my sources tell me that this person thought this and this person thought that, and I know. I should have took an extra dose of Prevagen, but it's midnight here. It's time for me to go. Thank you, my friends. As always, I'm going to jet out of here, and I hope you can join me tomorrow night, right after Raw, in our Discord channel, dtkcdiscord.com. People have asked me, and it looks like that's starting next year. I don't think it'll happen this year, but starting next year, we'll be simulcasting from Discord and YouTube for Monday nights. So that is something that I will be changing. That'll start probably in 2026. I might do it sooner, but it's really not a big deal technical wise, but that's going to be coming down the line. But let me jet out of here. I've overstayed my welcome. We're almost at 4 hours. And there's still a shitload of you still here. So I thank you, as always, for the support. Have a good evening. And I hope you could join me Monday night after Raw. dtkcdiscord.com. Be well.
As far back as I can remember, I always wanted to be a podcaster. For me to live any other way was nuts. To me, those goody-good people who worked shitty jobs for bum paychecks and took the subway to work every day and worried about their bills were dead. I mean, they were suckers. They had no balls. If I wanted something, I just took it. I ran everything. I paid the bills. I paid the host. I even paid the masked maniac. Everybody had their hands out. Everything was for the taking. We always called each other good fellas. You would always hear from somebody. You're gonna like Don Tony. He's all right. He's a good fella. He's one of us. But if you're part of my crew, nobody ever tells you they're gonna get rid of you. It doesn't happen that way. There weren't any arguments or curses like in the movies. See, your haters come with smiles. They come as your friends, the people who've claimed they care the most for your life. And now that's all over. And that's the best part. Today everything is different. There's lots of action. I don't have to wait around for everything like everyone else. Oh, I didn't get the vaccine? Fuck you, vaccine me. Oh, your delivery guy has COVID? Fuck you, feed me. Right after I moved here, I ordered egg noodles and ketchup, and I got spaghetti with meat sauce. I'm no longer an average nobody, while they get to live the rest of their lives like a bunch of schnooks.